Good morning. It's now time for another edition of Freedom with Steve Nichols. Brought to you in part by Sam Dennis Law, personal injury attorney, methodical, prepared, and battle ready. And by Kilby Family and Cosmetic Dentistry, dental care for the whole family. Now, available on Facebook, YouTube, Discord, and freedomnetworks.com each weekday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Here's your host and last best hope for freedom, Steve Nichols.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Freedom with Steve Nichols, broadcasting live in the SGAwater.com studio in Valdosta, Georgia. Go to SGAwater.com and schedule that free water test today. You need to know what's in that water, what's going through your appliances, what you are consuming as you brush your teeth, you cook, you clean, you do the bathing, whatever you do with your grandkids with water. You need to know they're safe with it. So SGAwater.com can take care of that for you, or just give them a call, 229-251-1100, and they'll be on the scene to administer that free water test. We do the pledge and the prayer to start each and every day here on Freedom with Steve Nichols. That's brought to you by Ross Automotive. They're located at 432 Connell Road for all your vehicle needs, whether it's major or minor car or truck repair, routine maintenance, brake checks, whatever the case may be. If you just need a tune-up or you just need it checked over or your oil change, take it to Ross Automotive, 432 Connell. Let Ramon in the game take care of that for you. I was by there yesterday on an issue, so I'll tell him I said, hey, but let's do the pledge and the prayer this morning before we get our day started. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for our lives, Lord. Thank you for the opportunity to get out and make a difference on this planet, Lord. May we lead by example, using you as our guide, Lord. We want to get to the right-hand throne of God. We know the path, Lord. May we be bold enough to tell someone else about that path and encourage them to come to church with us, or to just listen, or get them, if you don't feel comfortable with it, get them in front of someone who does. But do your part and take advantage of those opportunities to witness to folks. The Lord be just be with us today. Help, help us be kind to those around us, Lord. Even in the midst of trouble, if there's a disagreement, may we handle it tactfully and respectfully to get to a conclusion, always doing the right thing. Lord, just be with us. We love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I will say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good morning, everybody. The Valdosta transmission hotline is open. It is 229-469-1417. Anxious to see if I got that hideous ring out of the background of it there. I don't know if I do or not, but I know exactly what I did. So if I have to undo it, it should be pretty easy to undo. But good morning. Thank you for getting on here. Thank you guys for telling everybody else about the show. When you get the opportunity to like, comment, and share, that helps our algorithms in the Facebook part. Make sure you tell everybody that we have other places to view the show besides Facebook. It seems daily I see somebody that says, man, I used to listen to you on the show, and I hope that you get back on the air one day. And I have to remind them, hey, I'm there now, and tell them where we're at. But good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta transmission hotline. What's on your mind today? All right, I can't hear him, so I know what to do here. Switch the headset. How about now? Can you hear me now?
That's a little more gooder.
A little more gooder. Yeah, that ain't gonna get get the ring away, but the phone is working, so that's good. What's on your mind, Big B?
This was strictly a test. I was just trying to help out. I'm actually running a little bit late. I got to jump in the shower and then catch you from the truck. So
10-4. I appreciate you, B. Have a good day.
I was just trying to do my part.
You did it, man. Thank you, sir.
All right, buddy.
All right. 229-469-1417. Old habits. After you say it for 5 years, it's hard to switch. Let's see here. End the call, hold, mute, my magic jack. We'll just have to put up with the ring. It ain't the end of the world, I guess, till Larry gets back from San Diego, or he can call me maybe later in the day. All right. Again, the phone line is open, so call if you want to. Den Mayor's second request for help with the migrant influx that liberal policies allowed is shot down. They are getting a lot of folks transferred from Texas and Arizona up into the Washington, D.C. area, and they don't like it. Of course, they're complaining, and but the complaints down south, it fell on deaf ears after a while. That's what's going to start happening here. But she's requesting help from the Mayor Bowser. She's requesting help from the National Guard, and they're saying, look, we don't have nothing to do with this. It would actually diminish our readiness. So we have no interest in sending the National Guard down there. Y'all created this problem. Y'all fix it. That's they didn't say that, but that's exactly what they mean. For the second time, the Pentagon denied a request on Monday by D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser to activate the National Guard to assist with thousands of migrants who have been arriving in the nation's capital in recent months. Bowser first asked the National Guard for help last month, but it was rejected by the Pentagon on August 4th. She then sent another letter on August the 11th requesting that 150 National Guard troops be deployed to help prevent a prolonged humanitarian crisis in our nation's capital resulting from the daily arrival of migrants. Now, let me read that to you one more time for effect. Her request stated, now think about what's going on at the southern border now, in these border towns of Laredo and over in Arizona. Think about her statement dealing with a few hundred coming in compared to them dealing with 200,000 per month crossing the border in those areas. This is what she says. She wants them deployed to, quote, help prevent a prolonged humanitarian crisis in our nation's capital resulting from the daily arrival of migrants. That is the most hypocritical position that you will hear from a DC politician. Simple as that. Maybe Greg Abbott and others will get the attention of some of these politicians when others start caring, like the Mayor Bowser does. Defense Department Executive Secretary Kelly Bulliner Holly wrote in a letter to Bowser on Monday that the D.C. National Guard is not trained to assist migrants, and activation would lead to diminished readiness for the troops. The D.C. National Guard has no specific experience or training for this kind of mission, or unique skills for providing facility management, feeding, sanitation, or ground support, Holly wrote in the letter. Approval of this request would also result in a substantial readiness impact to the DCNG. Devoting the personnel or the facility for such an extended mission would force the cancellation or disruption of military training. So thank God they've got a level head up there and can think for themselves. About 7,000 migrants have been bused from Texas to D.C. since April, and another 900 arrived in New York City, according to Greg Abbott's office. Before we began busing migrants to New York, it was just Texas and Arizona that bore the brunt of all the chaos and problems that were within it. Now the rest of America can understand exactly what is going on. Bowser called the busing of migrants on Monday a politically motivated stunt. There could be some political motivation there, but the end result is a loud scream to the world that, look, now you know what we deal with on a daily basis. So, I don't know. The D.C. mayor should deliver them to the Capitol lawn, Jimmy says. That's true. They won't do that because that'll start a fight among their party, and they're going to stick together. But, yeah, that's what I would do if I was mayor. Say, look, you're not doing anything. I'm not going to say y'all created it. President Biden didn't create it. You can argue he had a hand in it for his inaction in the Senate for 40 years. But look at here. This ain't my problem. This is a federal problem. Y'all don't want to let them in here. Y'all fix it. Y'all deal with them. Here they are. That'd be a good way to do it. 229-469-1417 if you have a comment on there. President Trump has launched a legal action over the FBI's Mar-a-Lago raid, during which they seized documents. He and his legal team filed a motion Monday seeking an independent review of the records seized by the FBI during its unprecedented and unnecessary raid of Mar-a-Lago earlier this month. saying the decision to search his private residence just months before the 2022 midterm elections involved political calculations aimed at diminishing the leading voice in the Republican Party, President Trump. According to the motion filed Monday evening in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida, Trump and his legal team are seeking an order to appoint a special master to review the records obtained during the search, blocks the further review of seized materials by the government until a special master is appointed, requires the Justice Department to provide a more detailed receipt for property, and requires the government to return any item seized that was not within the scope of the search warrant. Now, yesterday, as I left air, a judge upheld the request by the Trump side to have a transparency of the the warrant and the process and that's so on and so forth, which was a little surprising to some. So now he's given the DOJ and the FBI time to submit redactions, but we're going to see what's in it. He's going to open it up. Now, whether or not it'll be so heavily redacted you can't read it like it sometimes is, we'll have to wait and see. But the fact that they're even offering it open like that is a little bit shocking to many on the left and many on the right, actually. I think the people on the right expected the judge to lean over that way, and he didn't. He seemed to be very fair with the transparency part of it. Not so sure it was fair on the warrant issue. That's something you'd have to study and come to a conclusion over. But the end result is there's going to be some transparency. The cameras were asked to be shut off. The Trump legal team was not allowed to be present. I think there's some problems in there with the process, and we'll see what the system says about it. But seems to me a little bit, there were some things that were done that should not have been done, and some things that were not done that should have been done. So we'll see. We'll see what happened. Many have been following the missing persons deal about Kylie Rodney out in I can't remember where she was at now. She was at a celebration in Tahoe National Forest. She went missing, and it is said that they have found her SUV with a body in it, and they fear that it is hers. No official word as of yesterday was given, but they have probably found her. So that's a sad conclusion to that. Chicago crime: Michigan man arrested for allegedly sexually abusing a 6-year-old boy in a McDonald's bathroom stall. He deserves a trial. He deserves to be judged. But I will tell you this: if found guilty, he should be treated. I'll just let y'all's mind run with that. Fallen soldier and devoted father lost in Afghanistan, left legacy of true friendship. Crime experts respond to Soros defending support for progressive DAs amid the crime wave. It's disastrous. At some point, you got to believe, you got to hope that at some point, the most left-leaning people are going to wake up one day and say, it's not a good idea to keep turning these criminals back out into the street to re-offend. You would think that will be the case, but I don't know. It sure is going slow. And I don't know. I don't know anybody in my life that is on the left that supports cashless bail or DAs just letting people go like that. Most people that I know on the left, if you tell them, look, they caught a guy in an armed robbery, they think he should go to jail, and they should think he should go to jail for a long time. So I don't know how this is happening, really, except for the fact it's happening in the big populated areas of Chicago, Minneapolis, Baltimore, LA, Atlanta. It seems to me that there's a trend when you get a lot of people packed into a place, millions, population in the millions, this ideology takes over. But I don't know. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind?
Morning. cashless pay up in New York is going just fine. Of course, they had that assassination attempt against a New York Republican governor candidate, and the guy was released immediately.
Yep.
Look, they may say, "Oh, I'm Trump."
He was
for
picked
that.
back up. Now, to be accurate, he was picked back up, but he was released immediately and back on the street to offend again before. And he's not the only one. It happens all the time in California. It's just I don't get it. I don't get. Like I said, even the Democrats I know through the show, they are not for that. They're against that. So I don't know how it's taken such root. I just don't know.
Well, a big but on that, they will vote for the candidate that says that he's going to do it.
Oh yeah, well, both sides are going to keep voting for their side. That's what we do. That's the problem. Nobody sees it, but that's the problem.
Right. Well, you either have incompetent, weak, or communists, and that's what we have. That's exactly what we have as choices. I got a question for you.
Yo.
Have these candidates started reaching out more to you?
Not more. They've reached out. They've sent the feelers. I've heard from Herschel Walker's camp. I've heard from Brian Kemp's camp. I've heard from who else? There's somebody running for it's the what's his name? He's the lieutenant governor on the Democrat side. I actually heard from his people. Charlie Wilson? I think it's Charlie Wilson.
I know who. I know who you're talking about. I can't think of him.
Yeah, so to answer your question, they're trickling in, but they're not coming in with any fervor. That doesn't necessarily mean something. It's I'm not on the radio dial, so to speak. So it's not really podcasters don't get the requests at the frequency of a radio station because it's kind of an automatic process, through ad buys and stuff like that. It's just a little bit closer connection. So it's kind of par for the course right now. I see no difference. Seems like it might be a little bit later in the game than normal, but not much. Not much. It's just pretty much par for the course.
There is absolutely not. Now, let me ask you something. Is there anything preventing Herschel Walker or any other candidate from calling you right now?
No.
And saying, "Hey, I like to get my piece out real quick."
Well, no. Candace Taylor did it all the time.
Yeah. Well, she had other problems, but I mean, that's the problem. But these candidates that they can win, or should be able to win, but I don't know. I just think that I see some of these campaigns. They just look like and I've seen campaigns for a long time. They just look like they're going through the motions. I have Brian Kemp right now is radio dark, on whether it's TV. When I was last night, I was watching the YouTube channel. One Warnock and one Stacey ad after another. Brian spent a lot of money on blowing away Purdue. I don't see anything he's doing now. Oh my gosh, nothing.
I never saw. I never saw. I don't remember ever seeing an ad at all during the primary governor primary race. I never saw an ad. I saw. I didn't see any. I tell you another trend that's affecting this is how people watch and how people listen. A lot of people are tuning in. They're not tuning into radio no more. They're turning into Pandora. They may be going to YouTube or some sort of music place, and they're not hearing the ads. Every time I look at anything on YouTube, I see there's two things I know I'll see. I'll see an ad for Raphael Warnock, and I'll see an ad against Raphael Warnock. You can count on it every time I go to YouTube for anything. But as far as me and my daily life, I've not heard hardly any political campaign ads from either side. And most of the reason why now if I do listen to if I'm on 105.9 for anything, which I don't listen to it much because of what I do. I'll hear that one Stacey Abrams ad with the fake cop. Well, I shouldn't say fake cop, but
right?
I mean,
Isn't he?
they run that
Listen,
over and over, but there's just on both
Yeah.
sides. There's not been a lot of political ads that I've
He
seen.
has, yeah, I know, right? But by the way, he did not serve a day in being a police officer in the state.
Not in Georgia, nope.
Not in Georgia, you know. But you know what? You keep playing it, and it insinuates that he is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it does, and and of course he's completely fake. But she has the money to burn. She literally, if she was running against you, she could have ads every day saying that you're a skunk.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have no money. And again, and I get back to this, and I'm sorry I'm beating a dead horse here. Brian Kemp is being undermined. And, I don't know if he's smart enough to understand that he's being undermined.
Who's undermining?
His immediate staff.
Who?
Who?
Who is his immediate staff that's undermining him? Who?
Well, I met one, and she told me straight up that she was voting straight Democrat. Some of the people that were around him, between him and Ratzenberger, Gabriel Sterling, other people, they're Democrats. They're basically Democrats. They're not. He's not getting his message out, and it's the people around him that I truly believe are undermining him.
Do you think Stacey Abrams? I mean, I don't see that Abrams is getting her message out.
Oh God, I hear her every. I mean, I can flip whatever dial it is, and I can even flip through country stations, and it's all Abrams all the time.
Yes, I don't.
I mean, same thing with the Warnock.
Again, I don't. I think they've figured out who to send their ads to. It's like Richard Marks just commented on Facebook.
Right.
He says, all basically what he says, all he sees is anti-Warnock ads and no pro-Walker ads. All he sees is anti-Warnock ads. He don't see pro-Warnock ads. So
I would sure like to be in charge of ads and ad buying. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not. But you've got to start having devastating ads, and on the R side, to me, it's just like just fluff. It's not even they're not even hard hitting. People want devastation is what they want.
Well, I mean, what kind of ad? What kind of ad would you put together against Stacey Abrams? I mean, well, let me back up a little bit. One of the to me, one of the most hard hitting, ruthless, damaging ads I've heard was the one absolutely blasting Raphael Warnock because of all the money he has sent everywhere except to Georgia.
Right.
That's a damn good ad right there now. And I do hear it on occasion, not often, but I mean, what would you say? I mean, I remember an ad or a comment or some commentary about Stacey Abrams being backed, or being on the board of a place that supported defunding the police. I mean, that's a pretty rough ad there to have to overcome.
I want to see more of that. I want to absolutely see more of that. I would have tied Raphael Warnock to the gas prices. I mean, I would make him and Biden as twins. He has fully backed the devastation of the energy sector. I mean, that's
what I'm seeing when I do see an ad there, but I don't know.
I would have gone after his domestic violence.
It's funny. Usually I'll get calls and say, man, or comments or texts from friends saying, I'll be glad when this election's over. I'm sick of all these political ads. And then when there ain't enough political ads, you're calling in saying we ain't seen enough ads.
No, we haven't. I mean, politics is a serious business. And the problem is one side plays it hard. The other side are going through the motions. The R's, again, the difference between the R's and their consultants and the D's and their consultants is simple. The Democrat consultants are Democrats. The Republican consultants are mercenaries at best. And that shows up, and you talk to them, and they're not really R's. They just got a job. The D ones, like James Carville, he's a D. I mean, it's the other ones are just basically the R's are getting a paycheck, and they would turn on conservatives in a minute. You know, that's the problem with the R's is they need a full-on purge. They absolutely do.
It's funny. It's funny. I hear this exact same commentary from some of the loyal liberal listeners to the show via email and comments. They're mad. They're mad inside their own party too. They're divided just like you are in your party. And it's funny to sit back and watch the similarities that go on between the two parties. But yet nobody in each party can see the struggle on the other party. But it's the exact same struggle. It's the exact same struggle. It really is.
I wish I would be in the D position.
What's that now?
Yeah, I really wish I could be in the Democrat position because they fight as one. They fight as a tribe. Lockstep. Ours. Oh my God. I mean, look at the big anti-Trump faction we have right now, and that Liz Cheney. I mean, by the way, I will give Trump props on one big thing, and maybe you'll agree with me. He helped get rid of these dynasties like the Bushes, the McCains, the Clintons.
I don't know that I don't know that he got rid of them, but he diminished them greatly. I will agree with that. He really pushed. He really kind of pushed them to the side from their stranglehold that they had on Republican politics. And see, that's what's going on. That's what's trying to go on the left. They're trying to get more of the Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, Ocasio-Cortez. They're trying to get more of them people pushing back. Now, let me tell you what's about to happen. They're on the verge of having a huge, and it's going unnoticed so far. And I'm interested to see if a fight ensues. But the squad side of the equation, they're about to have a huge win in this Inflation Reduction Act if they're able to stave it off, because Schumer promised Manchin, he made a big promise that if Manchin gets on board with this Inflation Reduction Act, that he'll reward him by immediately passing legislation to help expand coal and oil and natural gas issues in West Virginia. That was the promise, and that was the trade. And apparently, Cortez and all them, when Schumer told them, they all said, "Yeah, we'll we don't like that, but to get this thing passed, we'll do it." Well, they did it. Now, guess what? Ilhan Omar and them are saying, "No, we're not going to sign it. We're not going to vote it." And it isn't looking like right now it's going to pass. So the question becomes, is Joe Manchin going to make a stink about that? I predict he won't. But if this goes through, then that's going to probably be one of the biggest victories so far for the far left. Yeah.
Manchin knew it wasn't. I mean, he was going to give up his vote, make a big thing about, look what I've done, and then they'll pull the rug under. He might get a whimper. You cannot trust Manchin. I mean, Manchin.
Now hold on a minute. You at one time you had a poster of Manchin and Sinema in your living room, didn't you? Because you loved them.
It should have been just Sinema.
Well, she caved too.
But of course, they're Democrats. I get that. I do. I just think that Sinema's a better looking Democrat.
All right, man. I appreciate the call this morning.
Hey, listen, God bless you, man. Okay.
All right. See you, buddy.
All right, boy.
All right. 229-469-1417. The world according to Theo. Let's see. Is Kemp? I'm just going to do a simple Google search here. Is Kemp buying ads? Kemp drops millions on an ad buy ahead of Georgia primary on March the 3rd, 2022. He spent $4.2 million on television ads ahead of his May 24th Republican gubernatorial primary. Now, see, that's what I was talking about earlier. I didn't see any of them. Here's another one, July 13th. Kemp campaign announces a 7-figure ad buy attacking Abrams over defund the police support. Republican Governor Kemp launched an ad with a 7-figure media buy Wednesday, attacking Abrams over her past comments. That obtains. Let's go back to the phone line, so we'll shut that ringer up. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning. I need to educate me.
What you got?
When politicians, no matter what side they're on, and their campaigns are buying ads, whether it's television, radio, mass media, whatever, who actually keeps up with, from their side, from the campaign side, what their money's actually buying? In other words, if they buy $4 million worth of advertising, are they really getting $4 million advertising out of the media? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, now I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure they watch it. I know over at Black Crow, I was an integral part of the ad buy process to an extent. I knew, I was aware of how it worked, and they would simply say, "Look, what can I get for 10 grand this month? What can I get for 20 grand this month? Well, we'll give you this many ads on 7 different stations. We'll run them in peak times." There was a negotiation there and all that. And then an agreement was struck and a contract written and signed off on, agreed to, and then it was played. So that's how it works. So I assume that, they put together, I think I read yesterday, I read the numbers yesterday. He had, 30 something million dollars to spend on ads at that, or he had collected $32 million at that point. So I'm assuming they're going to buy television, print, radio, whatever the case may be. And they just keep up with it like anything else that they'd spend. If that answers your question, I don't know if it did.
Well, it kind of does. I reckon what I was trying to really ask for is how is the consumer, being the candidate or the candidate's campaign party, how is that consumer gets a receipt and a proof of bill of goods? That's what I'm trying to ask. Because say they tell you you're going to get these time slots, and you're going to get so many spots and so many minutes or whatever a day or whatever. How can the media people verify that they actually did do that?
In radio, I don't know how it works in television or any other thing. In radio, we actually print out the log, and there's a computer program on there that prints out to the minute and what time of day and how many times that day that ad ran. And at the end of the month, you send that to the person who bought the ad. We do that with politicians. We also do that with general advertisers. If it was a Coca-Cola, Budweiser, Bush Wealth Management, at the end of the month, when you send their statement and you send them their bill, okay, here's what we did. This is how much you owe. And then there's basically a paper trail of how many ads and how many times at what time to make sure that the agreement was satisfied. The proof, we provided the proof. Now I don't know how that works in other mediums. Now I'm assuming in print it's pretty obvious. You just send them a copy of the article, what day, but that's how it worked in radio.
Okay, and that answer my question is satisfied, because I could see how easily if a media source or was just say leaning against one candidate or the other, they I'm signed up to give you so many minutes a day or whatever, but I'm gonna cut that in half.
That I can tell you right now. That will not happen and cannot happen, because that is a direct violation of the FCC rules, and you will lose your license without warning, and probably be prosecuted if you put the money in your pocket and not putting the ad on the radio. So that there's about a 1% chance of that happening, less than 1%.
I got you. Well, like I say, you answered that question, but yeah, I am on the road, so I'm hammering on it. So I'll be right here with you, buddy.
10-4, man. See you later.
See you, bye.
All right. 229-469-1417. If you want to call and make a comment or talk about something that's in the news or out of the news, it doesn't matter to me. CNN's going through some trouble. I don't know if you've been keeping up with that. They got a new leader over there. They're starting to shift programming around. They fired Brian Stelter, whoever he is, and they're definitely making some changes over there. the new leadership wants them to move more towards the center and just report the news. We'll see if they're successful with that, but they got to do something because they're tanking. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind today?
Steve, have you by chance seen Colin Cowherd's preseason top 25?
I did, and I quit laughing at that about a day ago because I thought he is so far off base, it's not even funny.
I don't understand it myself.
No, I don't either. But yeah, that's a job. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here while I'm talking to you. But we'll talk a little bit. But yeah, he I put it this way: if he's right, he will be the genius of all of college football people. He will. He's going to come out looking like Nostradamus, but this is his top 10. He has Ohio State at number 1, Alabama at number 2. Now, I don't have a whole lot of I disagree with that, but I don't have that's not where he's really squirrely in my opinion. This is when it gets exciting. He's got USC at number 3, Texas at number 4, Tennessee at number 5, UCLA at number 6, Utah at number 7, Nebraska at number 8, Louisville at number 9, and UNC at number 10. Nowhere in there does he have the Georgia Bulldogs, the Clemson Tigers, Texas A&M. He's an A1 nut job.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean he's just I don't know what planet he's on. Nobody does.
Florida State ahead of Georgia. I hope he's right on that one, but the rest of them, I think he's way off.
Yeah, I mean, a Florida State fan would hope that, but you smart enough to know that that's probably not likely. Yeah, it could happen, but there's nothing out there that would, if you were honestly putting together a top 10, you wouldn't put Florida State at this point ahead of Georgia. You wouldn't.
The top 25, or is that good?
Yeah, that's right. But you nobody has Tennessee in the top 5, Texas in the top 5, Louisville's in the top 10, Nebraska. Come on, man. Yeah. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I think he might have did it on purpose just to get everybody upset, call a lot of attention to him, and do what I just did. Click on his website to look at his top 10. So he may be a genius.
Yeah, that's what somebody said. They said, if he hadn't done that, would we even be talking about him right now?
No, we wouldn't. No, you're right. That's just the way it goes. But yeah, we'll watch it. I should print it out and put it on the wall. Let's see how accurate he was. He may have the last laugh on us, but I don't. There's nothing that would indicate that he'd be even in the ballpark of accuracy with that prediction. So.
Not at all. All right, that's all I got. I just thought that was hilarious.
All right, man. Have a good day. Yep, 229-469-1417. College football is about here. It is about here. The kickoff for the most major teams is not this Saturday, but next. So if you are a football team, you are looking forward to this season that we're coming, or football fan, I should say, not a team. But you're looking forward to this. So 229-469-1417. Jennifer, what's her name? J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, they got married again, I think for the second time in the last 30 days, it seems to me. I may be wrong on that, but they had this big to-do out there at his place over there in Riceboro, right there around Savannah. They had a big to-do over there if you're interested in anything like that. I'm not. Did y'all see where, I can't remember the details, it really don't matter, where there was a plane flying somewhere. I think it was overseas. I don't think it was in the U.S. The two pilots fell asleep and they overshot where they're supposed to land because they were asleep. Did y'all see that? Also, another guy tried to make a landing. He botched the landing a little bit. damaged the landing gear, so had to pop back up in the air and make an emergency controlled emergency landing at another airport. Well, he was so distraught that he said, "Hey, I'll be right back," and he got up out of his seat in the cockpit and went and jumped out of the plane with no parachute. He couldn't take it. Crazy stuff right there. I don't know. What else? Oh, Dr. Fauci. He says that he gone in December. Now, there's a lot of people speculating as to why. I had somebody send me an email, said that he didn't know Fauci personally, but he knew some of his family members, and that they just sit around and laugh at all these accusations of stuff that he's tied up in, and they just think, man, it's just hilarious to them. Anyway, they are reporting that he is leaving in December, I think it is. But anyway, soon after Anthony Fauci announced he will be stepping down in December, White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain hailed the doctor. I cannot think of a public servant who has done as much to save as many lives for as long as a period as Dr. Tony Fauci. He's a gem of a person. I don't know Tony Fauci. So when somebody asks me, why do I think he's retiring or whatever? Well, my main reason is he's 127 years old, but I don't know. We'll see. I know this much. His time in Washington, D.C. will not be over due to retirement if the Republicans take back the House or the Senate or both. He will be called back up to testify because they're going to be up his ass sideways. That's what I think. Will they find anything? Only time will tell. I predict no, because they just never do. But we'll see. Russian paratrooper condemns his country's war in Ukraine. The U.S. is warning that everybody needs to get out of Ukraine because Russia's mad that this guy got bombed, or his daughter got bombed in an apparent attempted attack on his buddy. So things might be fixing to get even worse in Ukraine. We'll see. What else? Trying to see what you guys are talking about on here. About 3 years too late, Matt says. I posted Tucker video on Dr. Fauci on here. What about the guy who was fiddling with his radio and landed his plane in an Orlando neighborhood? Lord have mercy. I ain't seen that one. That's more than a slight miscalculation there, but I hadn't seen it. Let's do the weather right quick. Today, a mix of clouds and sun during the morning will give way to cloudy skies in the afternoon. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High of 87 degrees. Winds light and variable. Tonight, cloudy skies. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. Low of 71. The winds light and variable. Seems to be the trend for the next day or two. Then the chance of rain increases beginning on Thursday. That's your weather report brought to you by Recycle Center Equipment, located at 900 Boundary Street in Quitman. They're up at 9 o'clock this morning. You can give them a call, 229-563-5300. Fishing game forecast, much of the same. High noon, and then again at about 6:30 p.m., it bumps up into the good range just a little bit. Then again, the peak is at midnight tonight. So that'll be your best time to go. That's your Plantation Creek Real Estate fishing game forecast. If you want to buy or sell a piece of recreational property, Reed Hall at Plantation Creek Real Estate would be the man to call first. Or if you're buying or selling any property, he can help you out. He's located in Tifton, but he's serving the entire state of Georgia. If you need help, he will help you out. Call Reed Hall at Plantation Creek Real Estate. Also visit his wife's store, Plantation 59 Apparel, located in Tifton, right up there by Tractor Supply. I'm telling you guys, it's a great store. You need to go check it out. If you find yourself up there on a Saturday, drop in there, check them out, tell them appreciate you that they support the Freedom with Steve Nichols show and the Freedom Networks group of shows. What else? Tucker Carlson seems a little unhinged to me, Charles Shepard says. Bobby May says, he clearly has mental health issues. I don't watch him. I don't have an opinion on him. I know one thing. He's the number one talk show host in all of cable television right now, and he's getting paid a lot of money. So I'd like to have some of that. When you're hot, you're hot. Richard Mark says, don't know what he's talking about. I probably missed some of the conversation. 229-469-1417. Let's take a look at the BBC. Trump sues Justice Department over the Florida search. Again, it just always baffles me that, and that this is what I don't think a lot of people realize when you talk about the world stage, just what the U.S.'s position on the world stage is. We are the number one country on the world stage. Everybody wants to know what's going on in the United States of America. Every foreign news source I look at, Al Jazeera, it doesn't matter which one it is. If it's a foreign news source, there is an article on the front page about something going on in the United States of America. Now, that is not the case in America with other countries. Now, certainly if there's breaking news about a bombing or an attack or something like that, yeah, it will get time on the page. But the coverage from other countries on us is we're the big dog. We're top. We're the cock of the walk, the talk of the town. It is us. Okay? It is us. What else? Ukraine bombing. We were not behind the Moscow car bombing, Kyiv reports. U.S. school gunman's brain irretrievably broken. That's an article on BBC. Political brawl brewing over Miami's airwaves. That's an article about the Cuban airwaves down there, and with the conservative Spanish stations down there. A lot of Republicans and Democrats get on those shows trying to reach the Latino and Cuban community in general. So that's a pretty good article, actually, from a 4-year-old radio guy like me. UK accused of tip-off that led to Brits' torture. Further part of Beirut grain silos collapses. Dr. Nancy Fauci steps down after 38 years. There's just a lot of good articles on BBC. I read that a lot. MSNBC, of course, you know what you're going to get with them. You're going to get some sort of, I'm talking about seriously unhinged attack against somebody on the right, whether it's Trump or it doesn't matter who it is. They were on Marco Rubio the other day. I mean, it don't matter. Now, today they're on Marjorie Taylor Greene. The headline says Marjorie Taylor Greene officially declares war on the trans community. Now, I have not read this, so I have no idea what it's about, but I'm going to look at it against my better judgment. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene introduced a bill in Congress on Friday that would ban gender-affirming care for transgender minors across the country. It's the most sweeping and draconian piece of legislation conjured by an ever more radicalized and violent anti-trans movement. Now, this is, of course, complete opinion, and in their defense, they tell you so in the header there. It's by Caitlin Burns, who is an MSNBC opinion columnist. So it is an opinion. They put that out there, but this is all they do is give you opinions on MSNBC. They do not report the news, in my notion, very often. While the bill sports only 14 Republican co-sponsors, its passage would likely become a priority if the GOP were to retake Congress this fall. Now, that is total bullshit. It's not going to become a priority. Not with everything else going on. It's just not. So that's just silliness. Since the 2020 election, reactionary forces in the U.S. have increasingly become more focused on trans issues, particularly issues concerning trans children. Now, 1% of the whole damn country is transgender, and they're loud as hell, you know. Let's see. physicians and staff members at Boston Children's Hospital were threatened last week by a far-right gender-critical internet mob that spread lies about the facility's work. Harassment came kicked off by Chaya Ratchik and runs the anti-LGBT. I just get a headache reading this stupid stuff, man. I'm trying to figure out what exactly she's doing because there's no intellectual honesty in this opinion piece that would actually say, you know, what is she doing? Individual doctors who had appeared in several videos on the hospital's YouTube page were also targeted. That's all about some sort of target. What's the bill doing? What does her bill got in it? Even if I'm not gonna find it, I fear. Says me can't solve the problem. So see, this is there's actually nothing in the article about anything in the bill that actually is doing what she accuses it to be. That is that's silly. I just don't understand the article. I just don't get it. It is an absolutely silly attack with no substance. And if you're going to get your point across, you should put in the article what problem you have with the bill. What does her bill do? Green. Let's see if I can find it right. Green's transgender bill. Left-handed typing. Slow. Let's see if we can find what's actually in the bill that they're so mad about, I should say. MTG's legislation is going to support a 14 GP. Matt Getz is in deep trouble, by the way. Well, I can't read this one because Vanity Fair wants me to pay for it. I sure ain't doing that. I was built to criminalize gender affirming medical care. Representative Marjorie Drino finally introduced a bill to bar gender affirming care for minors. Okay. Under the bill, providing such care result in a felony conviction punishable by up to 25 years in jail. Legislation will also block colleges and universities from offering any lessons on gender affirming care. So, gosh, all these pop-ups, man. The Protect Children's Innocence Act would bar numerous medical procedures that are utilized to treat gender dysphoria in transgender minors, including puberty blockers and particular surgeries that allow individuals to alter their body to correspond to a sex that differs from their biological sex. She introduced a bill that would make it a felony to offer gender affirming medical care to transgender youth under 18 years of age. During a Thursday appearance on the Fox News program Tucker Carlson tonight, the Georgia Republican remarked that such care was child abuse and argued it needed to be halted. When it comes to gender affirming care, which is really child abuse, it is actually an assault and it's child abuse. This practice should never happen. She added before delving into the surgeries that some transgender minors have received, this needs to be illegal. Under the bill, anyone performing such care would face a penalty of 10 to 25 years in jail, along with a maximum fine of $250,000. I guess the gist of it is what she's trying to do is make this care illegal to children that are children who honestly, and I can't nobody really, well, let's just be honest. A child cannot make a decision that would impact its life in this manner on their own. They can't do it. Their reptilian brains are not developed until into their 20s, science shows. So you can get into an argument about how old should you be to govern your own body. Most recognize that to be at 18 when you turn into adult. People argue that, but I mean, can't we all agree that a 10-year-old shouldn't be making decisions? And frankly, the parents of the 10-year-old shouldn't be able to make decisions to alter the biological identity of a child that's 10 years old. If that's what she's doing, I'm with her. So it can be attacked as some sort of, I mean, when you hear the name Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's going to get attacked because of her stance just because you hear her name. So I don't know. I don't know. Again, I don't think that's an issue that's going to sway any votes in November, but it's out there. So 229-469-1417. Let's go back over here to where we are. We're back on MS. Let me see if there's anything else on it. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, 2016 FBI tweet didn't age well for Republicans. I don't care to read that. Fauci stepping down. Dennis Rodman. He has decided that he needs to get involved and go over to Russia and talk to Vladimir Putin about releasing Brittany Griner. Griner, of course, got caught with something in the airport. It wasn't weed, but it was cannabis oil or something in a vape pen. I don't know. She broke the law of Russia. She she got arrested. She's been sentenced to 9 years. Dennis is going to go over there and try to help the situation out. So I don't know. The sinister violent messaging at the heart of this Netflix top 10 show. GOP lawmakers ramp up attacks against LGBTQ Americans. See, this is just all such bullcrap. Republicans aren't attacking anybody that's LGBTQ. As a matter of fact, I'd argue they're trying to uphold their rights as people, just like anybody other people. I don't know. Back up here. Matt Gaetz is my congressman. Matt Gaetz is my congressman for the first time since I've been in Pensacola. I'm going to cast my vote for his conservative opponent. Yeah, Gaetz is in some trouble. There was an article I read. I don't know where it's at. There was a guy and I'm going to just kind of stammer through this because I don't have it in front of me. There's a guy that was trying to, here it is. I found it so I don't have to stumble through it. Florida man, listen to this right here. We'll talk about this. Florida man sentenced to 5 years in prison for attempting to defraud Matt Gaetz's family of $25 million. Now, the first thing that went into my mind when I read that headline is why are we electing people that can have a check ready for you for $25 million? That's a problem in itself. I'm about sick and tired of millionaires and billionaires running the country. I want a broke ass up there like me running the country. Somebody from the school of hard knocks running the country. That's what I want now. I'm sick and tired of all these people with all this money getting elected into these positions of power and access and control. I don't like that. We're going wrong. We're going backwards. Give me the man that will have nothing, and he'll govern fairly for all of us, in my opinion, if he's principally grounded in the Constitution, that is. But we could filter that out. Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. But so anyway, guy says that I need to get $25 million from the Gaetz family. How's he going to go about doing it? Stephen Alford, 62, he pleaded guilty to a charge of wire fraud in December after admitting the month before to engaging in a scheme involving a string of correspondence between himself and Gaetz's father, former state Senate President Don Gaetz. Now, Don Gaetz, worth a crap ton of money. He served time in the state Senate. Now here comes his son, Matt. He's in the U.S. Congress. I got a problem with that. Don't make him a bad dude. That don't. I just got a problem with that. Alfred told Don Gaetz that if he gave him $25 million to help free a hostage in Iran, arrangements would be made to have President Joe Biden pardon Matt Gaetz in the federal sex trafficking investigation the lawmaker faces. Alfred claimed to have access to the president. Now, I found that interesting. Now, I do not know if Matt Gaetz is guilty of this. I just do not know. There's no way I would know. I ain't been following it. I knew that the accusation was out there. I just don't know anything about it. But this kind of thing right here starts to make me say, I start thinking about Jeffrey Epstein, all the the things we perceive about sex trafficking and pedophilia, and you know, if you buy into the rhetoric that we hear in certain circles about, you know, Republicans and Democrats visiting that island down there, and here Matt Gaetz, you know, in the news back a while back, is accused of sex trafficking. Most on the right write it off as some sort of vicious leftist attack. Then you got a guy, for some reason now, this is what interested me. He somehow has some sort of ear of the Gaetz family. He has some knowledge that they're worth a crap ton of money. He knows that Gaetz has been accused of that. And then he assumes later in the article here, I'll read it to you. The scheme was discovered on March 21 when the FBI initially interviewed Don Gaetz about his communications with Alfred and another individual identified as Person A. So we got this Person A, the shady character Person A. The FBI is involved in an investigation into Gaetz, apparently. I'm just reading between the lines logically. They see traffic and communication between Alfred and this Person A, asking about $25 million to make this go away if he's found guilty and pardoned. Don Gaetz told investigators he had received a text from Person A 4 days before the interview requesting a meeting to discuss the current investigation and the indictment that is about to be filed against Gaetz. That is interesting to me. That is extremely interesting to me. This guy don't use this scheme without some sort of inkling that there's an indictment coming. Matt Gaetz's father don't get into this text exchange unless he's got a little bit of fear that he will be indicted for it. So there's a little bit of smoke here. Is there fire? I don't know. But we'll see. Let's see here. Matt gets attacked all the time. No surprise. Well, they all do. They all get attacked. I love confrontational. I guess that is why I enjoy Richard Marks' calls and posts. Sure seems like it sometimes. I don't care. Call me a crackpot. I don't know what y'all talk about, but Renee is not a crackpot. I can disagree with you and still like it at the same time. Come on now. I don't know who you're talking to, Bobby. I just can't keep up with all this. Richard Marks, a parent with their child and advice from a mental health medical doctor should make that decision. It's not the government's business if a trans person waits after age 18 to begin transgender assignment. It will not be as effective. It needs to start by the age of 13, only with a medical psychiatric diagnosis. Didn't you know whether you were a boy or girl by age 13? I knew when I was at age 5 that I was a boy. I'm just going by the headlines I read. I read from a transgender who is suicidal right now, who regrets the going through it. I read stories like that, and he had or she or whatever it was, they had the blessing of their parents to go through that. And let's just be honest, Richard, there are parents out there that are incapable and should not be making a decision of this magnitude for their own child at the age of 13. So I assume that you're okay with your 13-year-old daughter, Richard, pretty much doing anything she wishes at age 13, right? Or are you simply saying that she's got to have your blessing? What about all the kids out there that want to go through it without the blessing of their parent? Should the doctor be held accountable for transforming a 13-year-old against the parents' wishes? Let's go down that road one time. If your daughter wants to get a tattoo, a nose piercing, a tongue piercing, wants to get a tattoo of whatever right across their face, permanent stuff, I mean, you should. Are you saying that at 13 they should know because they know? I mean, they know whether or not they're a boy or a girl. Let me tell you what, if you're a boy or girl, way before 5. Normal people do. Did you not look between your legs? Good point from Jimmy. An abortion. You think the girl should get pregnant at 13? Does she need your input? Is that between her and her doctor? Or should you have some input in it? Steve, respectfully, the congressman's name is pronounced Gates. So noted, Richard. And you don't have to tread lightly on correcting me when I'm wrong. I'm okay with you saying, Steve, you moron, it's pronounced Gates. I don't get offended, brother. I'm good. Renee says, I'm glad you are here. There are people having transgender reveal parties now. That's funny to me. It is sick too, but that's funny. Transgender suicide is through the roof. Yep, that's right. So why not save it? Send Steve back to English school, Richard. Yeah. I need to go there, Daddy. No doubt about it. If you can't figure out what sex you were born plumbed for, what else are you going to get right? That's right, Barbara. If it took Richard age 5 to figure out he was his boy, I mean, my granddaughter Gracie's 3. She knows she's a girl. Extremely aware of it. Ain't no doubt about it. She's a girl. You can ask her, are you a girl or a boy? I'm a girl. I'm a girl. So Richard was a late bloomer, we've established. He probably looked down there and said, what is that? What does that mean? Well, a little dick, you're a boy. Oh, okay. You see what I did there, right? Steve, then may we work on pecan? Pecan, I don't need no work on pecan. I got pecan down pat. Now, you might need work on it, Richard. There's also a movement called Save the Tomboy. I was a tomboy and still am. Never wanted to be a boy. Yeah, I went to school with a lot of tomboys. Richard Mark said, this is where you're dead wrong. What's between one's legs has nothing to do with gender identity. It worked for tens of thousands of years until suddenly we wake up one day just a few years back and everybody was confused about how you identify a boy from a girl. I don't know what happened. There's a Facebook page called Gays Against Groomers. They are constantly being censored. Gays Against Groomers. How about peanut, Danny? Thank you, sir. Is it a peanut? Richard would say pecan. So would you say peanut? I say peanut and pecan. That's just me. Danny Beasley, you are an idiot. Well, I'm sorry, Danny, that I offended you and you called me. I know you're talking about Richard. Got to be. I tell you, the problem with kids of today, they have no parents in charge. The kids are the boss. Time to start tearing their butts up. Yeah, you're right. I mean, things are different. That ain't going to happen, though. But look down. There's your answer. Seems simple enough, Bobby. You're right. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll come back. I got to go refill my coffee cup and talk to a man about hound dog. But I will be right back. Stay tuned.
gone. If you made it this far, you are an official freedom fighter. Don't forget to visit freedomnetworks.com. Click on featured advertisers and support these businesses. They can advertise anywhere. They choose this show as a way to support the effort of preserving and defending freedom. Now, back to the show with Steve.
All right, 229-469-1417. Whatever's on your mind, that's what I want to talk about. Stacey Abrams has been tied to multiple abolitionist groups despite claims that she doesn't support defunding the police. Georgia gubernatorial candidate, Georgia gubernatorial Democratic nominee Stacey Abrams has repeatedly stated that she does not support defunding the police, but her involvement with multiple left-wing groups and individuals that support anti-police causes tells a different story. Now, this is I come in contact with people all the time on this program that may be Republican, they may be Democrat, they may be for this candidate and against this candidate. And every single time when there's a conflict between what the person claims to believe and their support for that candidate that may be contrary to what that person says they believe, I find it fascinating. That's and you see it all the time. I'm not saying that I'm not so sure it's bad or maybe I'm just over analyzing, but normally if you I'm trying to figure out how to even say this. Like me, I don't subscribe to the ideology of the Democrat Party. Okay. So I can find no, I just really can't find a reason to support. Rarely. Now I'm talking about rarely. Can I find in 100% of the time on the federal level, if they got a D behind their name, I'm not even going to consider them. I can't, because they're tied to a platform that supports, frankly, death and destruction, and what I deem one of the most dangerous organizations that I know of. So you can't. I have a hard time you telling me, look, I'm a Democrat, but I don't really believe in. I don't believe in abortion. I don't believe in gun control. I don't believe in higher taxes. Then what the hell are you doing being a Democrat? So I have a hard time when somebody's, if you're supporting these groups, these abolitionist groups, these groups that want to defund the police, tear down law and order like that, cashless bail and all that. Why are you affiliated with them if you don't believe in those things? Abrams currently serves as a board member and governor of the Seattle-based Marguerite Casey Foundation, which tweeted defund the police as recently as March of this year and abolish the police as recently as February. The foundation has hosted an event in early February titled Become Abolitionists, A History of Failed Police Reforms and Vision for True Public Safety, which was moderated by the foundation's president, CEO Carmen Rojas. Rojas, a supporter of the abolitionist movement, donated $7,600 to Abrams' campaign, the contribution limit for primaries and general elections in Georgia. Defund the police, Rojas declared in April of 2021. There is no reforming this, Rojas tweeted in August 4, 2020. Abolish the police, she said. Abrams, who joined the foundation, has received at least $52,500 in income from the foundation. That's income now that went in the Hip National Bank, okay? Her campaign previously told Fox News Digital that Abrams does not hold the same views as the foundation. But a press release from the foundation issued weeks after she became one of its governors shows that she supported its expanded anti-police efforts. So how are you going to sit there and tell me that you don't support them when they support you and you're still with them? I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. 229-469-1417. Make sure you stay tuned right here. Again, Joe Bakanovic, the road to Concord comes on at 9:05 a.m. every Monday through Friday, right after Freedom with Steve Nichols signs off. There's just a 5-minute delay there built in on purpose for commercials and stuff as we move forward. So he will be on at 9 a.m. or 9:05 a.m. Y'all stay tuned if you haven't seen him. He has his own call-in number, his own show. I don't tell him what to do. He does his thing. Y'all tune in and check it out. 229-469-1417. So Stacey Abrams is okay. She says she's not for defunding the police, but she sits on the board and receives a paycheck from an organization whose primary function is to defund the police. I don't get it. Girlfriend of late Oregon football star Spencer Webb announces she's pregnant. We created an angel, she says. Department of Justice investigating reprehensible Arkansas police beating caught on camera. The Prime Minister of, is it Finland? I think it's Finland. Yeah, Finnish Prime Minister tests negative for drugs after nightclub video leak. Now, this is she's the youngest prime minister in the world, 36 years old. She was caught out on video dancing and partying, so they say, and having a good time. Her critics called out and says, "Oh man, she's high and she's this, that." So she went and had a drug test. The drug test was negative, so they say. Her statement is, "I have a family life, I have a work life, and I have free time to spend with my friends, pretty much the same as many people my age." She's very popular. Resonated with the Finnish voters. I don't see. It's against the norm. I mean, we don't see. Here in the United States, our politicians on the high level they're always old. You know what I mean? They're always old fuddy-duddies. Time has passed them by. Their fun times, their dancing days are over. You just don't see that happening, and it's a shock. About the most exciting thing that a president does these days is when they go on vacation they'll go to Hawaii, they'll go to Trump will go to Mar-a-Lago, Biden goes to his beach house. I mean, they're just low key, we watch them board the plane to go, not because we want to watch them and see them off. We wondering if they're going to fall. We wondering if their old ass is going to trip and fall down the plank. You know what I mean? We've seen Trump stumble. We've seen Biden stumble. And, I don't know. I'm sure we saw Obama stumble at some point. So that's why we look. They're raising kids. They got old kids, and grandchildren and things like that. So when you see a country elect a 36-year-old who I don't think she has any kids. I mean, she probably, I'm just reading between the lines. She probably ran on the platform and say, "Hey, look, I'm young. I'm one of y'all. I like this. I like that. And y'all vote for me and put me in there. Yeah, I'm one of y'all." And then she gets elected. She continues to be one of y'all. And then it's just a shock. This is just a shock to see the prime minister of your country out at the juke joint shaking her moneymaker. You know what I'm saying? That's just a shock. And I don't know. I guess the people in Finland are having a hard time dealing with it. I mean, I watched the video. She's out there getting down, and it's just kind of funny to me, but to see that. But then again, Finland. Well, that was Finland. You're talking about Finland. What is going on in Finland? Nothing, right? There's nothing going on in Finland. There's no wars. There's no conflicts. I don't even know where it's at geographically, but it's, I don't know. They only got 5 million people in the whole dang country. 5.5 million people in Finland. There's that many in Atlanta. or more in Atlanta. So she's out shaking her leg, and then they said, in the reports article, you got, when you're the prime minister or you the president of somewhere, you got communication devices, right? You got a personal phone. You got a personal phone that you talk to your family on. You may have a separate one you talk to your friends on, but then you got the bat phone, right? You got the government issued phone. The one you would think, look, if something bad happens in Finland, there's a bomb dropping, a terrorist attack, something like that, we need to get a hold of you. This is the phone. You need to have it on at all times. Well, reportedly, she says, you know what? I'm taking the night off. So she left all her phones at home, or at least the government issued phone. She left it home, went out there to the juke. So, I don't know. Shake it, girl, Bobby. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see here. Y'all got Bobby. Mary and Richard evidently is us talking. Richard says, let me back up a little bit and get the rest of it. Okay. Richard says, Mary, you can't change psychological gender identity. See, I can't get past this first statement of this. Psychological gender identity. The obvious is that it's not physical gender identity, and that's where the problem is. Never in the history of this country have we realized anything that was psychological over what was physical. Everything is a comparison between psychological damage and physical damage in an issue where a bad trauma has taken place. What was the physical damage? What was the psychological damage? But when we're simply grading something from a physical basis or a physical viewpoint, like we have traditionally done for tens of thousands of years, what's the first thing you do, Richard, when you I'm gonna ask you this, Richard. I don't know why you don't call. Don't be scared to call, okay? Don't be scared to call. I know that you got this thing about your identity and your phone number and all that. Put that to the side. Larry's out of town. He's not even listening. He's out in San Diego right now. Don't be afraid. Feel free to call. I'll take the call. Here's my question. Animals, humans are basically animals, right? We're of the animal world. I think you'd agree with that. I don't know how you could not. So when you go to the store, Mary says his reply is not showing up in my feed. Does everybody else see Richard's reply to Mary when he says says, Mary, you can't change psychological gender identity. That's why they do gender reassignment, to change the body psychologically to match the psychological gender. That's the only way to treat and cure gender dysphoria. Would you want a person to remain ill with gender dysphoria or get it cured? That was it. Can y'all see that response? Randy says no. Larry says yes. Okay, Richard says Animal Kingdom, yes. If you are raising a litter of puppies, let's say you're a world champion breeder of, let's say Labrador retrievers. You got two champion bloodlines there. They mate and they have a litter of puppies. What's the first thing you do? The very first thing you do as a person who breeds and sells and makes money off of that champion bloodline. What's the first thing you do when that litter of puppies, 8 puppies pop out? What's the first thing you do, Richard? You look at them and you identify them as male or female. You do that by looking between their legs to see if they have a pee-pee or a hoo-ha. Okay. If they have a PP, they are a boy. If they have a hoo-ha, they are a girl. It's no different for us. Now, what you psychologically think you are is a condition that I agree with you needs to be treated. But when and this is a cut and dry case now. Let's don't get in the weeds of somebody that's born with both. Well, I'm talking about you a boy or a girl. Now, if you're a boy and you think you're a girl or you want to be a girl, you got a problem. You need treatment. You need help. I get it. I ain't feeling bad about getting them some help. But if they are a boy, you're not doing them any favors whatsoever by allowing them to think it's okay to be a boy when they're not, or to be a girl when they're not. Now, I do believe that if they become of age, and let's just go with 18, if you're old enough to vote and go die for my country, I'll let you cut your dick off and turn yourself into whatever you want. But not when you're a kid. Not even if you've got your parents' approval of it. It's sheer stupidity. This is an argument that should not be taking place. Now, as far as the federal government passing law and stuff like that to protect this, I don't know. I mean, y'all can have that argument if you want. I find it ridiculous that we're talking about boys that want to be girls and girls that want to be boys when the debt is $30.7 trillion. We got $200 trillion in unfunded liability. We are dependent on China. We have a dysfunctional government who is somehow in their infinite wisdom believing that we can flip a light switch and stop our usage of oil and gas. We have a situation where they want to tax us at a higher and higher and higher rate. They have the audacity to believe that I shouldn't have a gun to protect myself from society. They have the audacity to believe that it's okay to actually murder and kill a baby in the womb simply because the mom can't deal with it. And we're talking about penises and vaginas. It's ridiculous. Yet another non-shocking, monumentally stupid observation by Richard. He says humans aren't dogs. Okay. Some believe higher intelligent animals can be trans. And this is where he really tops it off. Haven't you ever seen a female dog mount another female? Yes, I've seen a male dog mount a male dog. But you know what that didn't tell me? It didn't tell me that they were not female or were not male. It just didn't. Why? Well, the answer has been made blatantly obvious from me. I have a person in my Facebook page, excuse me, whose daughter thinks she's transgender. The parents accept that, but she can't do anything physically until she is 18. That's the deal with them. I ain't got no problem with that stance. I think they're being pretty good parents. I'm not going to give them advice on how to handle that situation. Thank God I'm not in that situation, but I know how I would handle it. The day one of them came to me and said that they're something that they're not, I would tell them, I don't know where you're getting that, but that's wrong. That's dead wrong, and I don't want to hear that bullshit no more. We're not going down that road. You are this or you are that. And that's the way it is. You may not want to be that way. You can even think you ain't that way, but you are that way. And that's the way it is. And that's the way I'm going to handle it in my household. Why are we not talking about the atrocities over our southern border anymore? Because, Ronnie, we're trying to figure out what it means in 2022 to have a penis or a vagina. Come on, man. This is groundbreaking stuff. We got to know the answer to that. We got to figure that out before we worry about the invasion that's occurring at the southern border. Before we worry about the invasion of drugs and possible terrorism coming across that border, until we can figure this boy-girl thing out, Ronnie, we have no time or energy or any business worrying about piddly little stuff about losing our country to an invasion of illegal immigrants. We are way down the yellow brick road, Bobby says. Distraction of the topic being discussed. That's Richard. Good observation, Roger. T-Rex, where can I get my dog converted or reassigned? I don't know. Richard could probably tell you somewhere, though. That's funny. Psychotherapy can't change a person's psychological gender identity. Could it change yours, Mary? That's what Richard asks. What's causing this, really? What do y'all think is causing it? I don't know. Water Jug says over 1,000 trans individuals have recently sued England's health services because they feel like they were sold a false bill of goods. They feel like they should have been given mental health services and not physical transition services. I agree with the trannies on that one. When you go in and you tell the doctor, Doc, I know I got a pecker, but I'm feeling pretty feminine right now. I'm feeling like a girl. I'm starting to listen to a Shania Twain song. I feel like a woman more and more and more. But I look down and I see I got a pecker. Well, Steve, what you need to do is chop that thing off. Let me give you some hormones and just accept the fact you are now a female and go buy you a bunch of Alanis Morissette albums and live happily ever after. No, that's not what you should do. You should say, Steve, look, man, I don't know why you're feeling like this. Let's talk. Lay down on the couch right here. Have you had any trauma in your life? What made you think this? Do you play with Barbie dolls? I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. Okay. So, but I do know that just because somebody wants to be a girl that is a boy, you shouldn't encourage it or let them do it. You should figure out why they're feeling it. What's causing it? Why is this happening? I think there's something to this statement. It's hip to be gay and trans. That's the reason. It's a phase and a fad. Now, usually, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I know there's a difference between fads and trends and phases and all that, but don't they all come and go? Bell-bottom jeans for women were popular at some point, the 70s maybe, and they've made a comeback, right? And you at some point in the last couple of years, you see people wearing bell-bottom jeans, and so that'll fade away, right? You'll see different trends in fashion and stuff like that, or remember the ice bucket challenge on social media where raising awareness for ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, and they were dumping the buckets of it. That kind of faded away. You don't see it no more. Was it a fad, a trend, or whatever? Is this if this is something that is a trend or a fad, is it gonna go away? Is it gonna ebb and flow? The gay part of it doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's here to stay. And we can get in that argument or discussion if y'all want. I've got strong opinions on that. But most people, it's my perspective in that most people who are gay, they stay gay. And now they may get to a point that they don't act out on being gay, but I don't see people that are gay reverting back to being ungay. Does that make sense? And I don't know that this trans. I'm not saying that. I think me personally, I think this transgender thing is totally psychological, and I don't know that it's going to change. I think something has made that happen inside the mind of that person. They believe that they're transgender. They believe that they aren't what they what's the coach that says they are who we thought they are. Well, the transgender does not believe they are who they is. They just don't. Psychologically, they believe it. I do believe. I believe that they believe with all their heart that they are not what they appear to be. I believe that they believe that. I don't. So my question is, if that's right, now that's just my belief. I don't know. I wouldn't bet you any money on it. But if that's right, what's causing that? Seemingly suddenly. That makes me jump out of my seat every time that happens. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing good. Sandy, talking about dinkers and hoo-haws and
just berries and twigs and
having a well of a time. Yeah, just having a well of a time.
I'm telling you, a lot of this phenomenon, which it is, some of it is, and some of it's just pure out evil and satanic and demonic. It's just like the Bible says, people will follow their own lust, and he'll give them over to it. Many have been given over to it, and they're dragging others with them. It's indoctrination, is what our kids are watching on TV, the rap music, some of the other music that's out there, gangster rap, some of this filth that's out there in mainstream, and all races listening to it, Christians listening to it. If you're a Christian, you need to stop it. Beyonce, church girls, lyrics are just vile words. Nobody should be listening to that, especially Christians. But the thing about, I found out, about lose my train of thought. Oh, there's a Christian school out west. I don't know if you've talked about it. They have a no sex before marriage policy, always have at their school. And it is a private Christian school. Christian being the word there. They said if anyone, now they ain't said they kicked out any transgenders, they ain't kicked out any homosexuals in there. They just said you will not, straight kids, you will not be engaging in sex outside of marriage. Okay. Now, one parent pulled their child out because that person is supposedly gay or either transgender, whichever one they said it was. Well, the letter went out just like every year. They want the kids in there to learn, not to be worrying about the social stuff and things that they don't need to be engaged in and worried about. They need to worry about what 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds need to be worrying about, and that's getting an education, learning how to be to survive in this world. So now the LGBTQ, XYZ, dash, whatever, are protesting this school, and they have had to field thousands of calls of people calling up and giving them death threats.
Yep.
The parents have the principal, which is I think the pastor of the school and church. He has had to beef up security there at the school. This is from the so-called tolerant left. You can't have any opinion or any belief outside of what they want you to believe. That is what their agenda is. Now, I think there's a lot of kids that get involved in this transgender thing so they can fit in. They think it's cool. because the other kids are doing it. Like you said, bell bottoms come in, the mullet comes in. Thank goodness, I hope it never comes in as days.
Let me tell you, if I had enough hair, I'd have a mullet right now, just so I could show everybody I had the hair. But no, what you're saying is that there's a lot to what you're saying is the influence on television. I mean, you know, we don't have to go over the fact that, you know, back when we were watching TV, you and I, as young kids and teenagers, we saw a different brand of television. We didn't see two guys kissing or two girls kissing or any kind of something that was a transgender. We didn't have that influence on us. Had we had it on there, then all this is happening now would simply have started happening early. But it's just a progression that's going on that we have to deal with. Now, on that school, I read that article actually a couple of days ago. I saw it. And to me, when you say the words private, and I really don't have to have anything after that. If it's a private school, then on balance, then they do what they want to do. They set their own rules, and you have the choice, and I have the choice, and the people out there in Texas or wherever that is, they have the choice to either send their kid there and abide by those rules, as long as they're not discriminatory. You know, due to the you know, against the Civil Rights Act or anything like that, which this is not. This is a religious school. One of the religious tenets in the Bible is that you do not have sex before marriage. You don't get pregnant before marriage. So if you violate that, you're out of the school or you can't attend. So anybody that don't believe in that, that's fine if you don't believe in that. This is America. You're free to not believe it. Doesn't matter. But what you shouldn't do is call that school up and threaten them that if you don't change this policy. Now, I live in New York. I don't go there, but this is bullshit. You need to change your policy. Then that's wrong. But you know what? Both sides do it. Both sides do it. They both do it. It's not just the left. It's the right too.
They better stop it.
Oh, they're not going to. They're not going to.
That's not what we are about.
No, it is what we're about now. We've been molded into that by the media and by the political parties. If you are a Republican, you are against abortion and you're expected to march at Planned Parenthood. If you are a Democrat, you are pro-abortion and you're expected to march in front of the Supreme Court. They did a survey on Fox yesterday asking people, are you motivated enough to carry a sign for the day? Now, it was just a blanket question. It didn't highlight any of the issues. It found that 60-something% of the people said, yes, I'm motivated to the point now that I would carry a sign for the day. That was up 20-something percentage points over just 10 years ago. But the breakdown I want to see, and I'm suspecting this, okay, the breakdown I want to see is out of that 60%, what percentage of them were Democrats and what percentage of them were Republicans? What percentage were on the right? What percentage is on the left? Because I can tell you, I believe out of that 60%, I believe that 50% that answered that were on the left. I believe they're willing to carry the sign or the torch or the voice. But you know what we ain't willing to do? As a group, not saying you or me, as a group, the best you're going to get out of us is to sit here and fuss about it. That's it. We ain't carrying no sign. We ain't going to no rally. We ain't going to no demonstration. We ain't even going to sign a petition. We're just going to sit here and bitch about it. That's all you get out of us.
Absolutely.
That's where we're at.
You're correct. We're not standing out on the streets, putting out signs. We're not getting a delegation like Stacey Abrams opened up her little shop over here in Albany. We're seeing people, they had their little Democratic delegation over here in Tifton at the Forward Park. We don't see Republicans or conservatives or even Christians getting over there in the park and opening up and talking and relaying stuff to a community that needs straightening out. Because I'm telling you, Tifton, I don't hang out in Tifton. I get to the country. I go to Walmart and I try and beeline straight down 82 back out here to the country where I live and get out of that mess. Because when you open up a Waffle House down there on 82, right across the street from Charlie's Seafood, most of y'all know where that's at, or the Chili's there, a young man gunned down trying to open up the business before daylight. This is in Tifton. Just gunned him down. On a robbery. But my thing is you've got to turn these TVs off with your little kids. I don't care if it's Sesame Street, Disney. Disney is a culprit in indoctrinating our children. Stay away from Disney World. Don't give them your money. Don't give them your time. Go to Wild Adventures down here. You'll get just as much fun out of Wild Adventures and your kids not being indoctrinated, or a chance of him being or her being groped by one of those crazy characters at Disney. You know, my grandson sit here and watch Pilgrim's Progress, a Christian cartoon, and I wouldn't think he'd ever watched it. He sat there and he was intrigued by it. You know, it's a book by Paul Bunyan, and it's great stuff. Find things that your kids can be interested in, and you sit there and you watch it with them. I've got parents that will not even turn the TV on for their children and watch any kind of cartoons, any kind of kids show, because there is indoctrination, and kids' minds are like a computer, or like a sponge. It soaks up things that we might not see, but their little minds are taking this in. They're subtle, almost you can't hardly see it with messages in there. Just like, you know, you could run some of these classic rock songs backwards, and some of them's got a message in them. I would have never believed it had I not heard it for myself, you know. But we've got to start being smarter and more in tune of what's going on, because Satan is the prince of the air ways. God created him, Lucifer, to be the music in heaven. And I'm going to tell you something, and some of y'all might not care, but when Satan could convince 1/3 of the angels who were in heaven and had it good, had it made, can talk them into rebelling against God, and God kicking him and all those angels out of heaven. 1/3. And that's a lot, Steve.
Yep.
Now, you can sit there and poo-poo at Satan if you want to, but when he could talk 1/3 of the angels into following him and not God anymore, and they already knew what they had, that's a dangerous voice to listen to.
The problem on the
And
religion
people
side is that, according to statistics, the number of people believing is not growing; it's diminishing.
No,
it's
is.
going south. So I don't know. I mean, it's all written down. We really and truly, if you're not careful, you can fall into the mindset that, look, that's time to face it. There's nothing we're gonna be able to do about this. So I'm gonna stay home, raise my family, worship God, and I'll let whatever's coming is coming.
You still have to be a voice. You still have to be the voice in the wilderness. I don't care.
Yep.
You talk to somebody. You talk to people. You don't go home and hide in your closet. That's what happened to the Christians back in the 50s. The crazy came out of the closet, and the Christian went in the closet. We lost our backbone because we don't have enough trust in God to follow what he has taught us to do, and given us the gumption and the power to do is to go out and speak the word. I don't care if I'm hated. I don't care if John Ford thinks I'm crazy. I don't care if Richard Marx thinks I'm a bigot or anything else, whatever he wants to call me today. You know, I don't care, because the one that I care about is what God says about me. But the thing is we got to straighten out our churches. That's the number one thing. We got to straighten out and get out of these churches where these men have come out of seminary and they don't believe anything that they've been taught.
There's a long list of things we need to do.
Yes, sir.
We got to.
Yes, sir. First off, we need to straighten up our own household.
There you go.
Back up. We need to straighten out our own household. We need to take care of our own business first, and then we can start taking care of the business of the church and the community. But the church, the home has to decide: are we going to keep following the norms that we're following? The nuclear family has been bombarded. It has been beat down. It has been almost destroyed. And when the nuclear family has been destroyed, the civilization is destroyed. That's why we have so much chaos, because there's so much chaos in the home today.
Yep, no doubt about it.
Because nobody pulls that book down that says Holy Bible, the basic instructions before leaving Earth. And it tells you exactly how to live your life and live it more abundantly and live it in a way that you can cope with this world. But nobody knows how to cope with it anymore, because we're sitting here and we're confused, because the world is confusing us. And we sink into chaos. And America is in chaos right now because she's lost her way.
We definitely have. Sandy, I appreciate the call.
We sure have, babe. Thank you for keeping this show going, and everybody out there that, needs to get that word back down and start reading it.
All right. See you later. Have a good day.
All right, you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
229-469-1417. If you would like to get in on the action and make a call. There's a lot of places we could go this morning with the commentary. So I'll just kind of let y'all dictate that. I'll whatever y'all want to talk about. Let me. I am going to Google something real quick here in just a minute. Good morning, caller. You are on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind today?
Good morning, Steve.
What's going on, Joe?
Just listen to you and Sandy talk on my way into the studio this morning. And what Sandy was talking about right there is a prophecy that's in the scriptures that says that when Jacob lays down, Esau will stand back up. And then what that means is when God's people quit doing their job, God's enemies will take over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt.
So I'm for non-believers, I know they don't understand it. Or for those who are claiming to be believers, it's right there in your prophecies, man.
Yeah.
You just got to start reading your scriptures.
Yeah, my struggle with the whole thing is you got when you're talking about religion, you got two battles. You got the battle that Sandy alluded to, that you're alluding to now within the believers community. You got a battle inside there, and it's up to the individual to figure out what that battle is. And then you're also battling people who don't recognize that, who, according to statistics now, about half the country, I think I'm trying to remember the percentage. I know that I'm just going to say it like it is. According to the poll, the largest dip in believers happens to be on the left side of the line. The Democrats are losing ground at an alarming rate as far as the number of people who believe in God or have a belief in a higher power is fading fast on the left, is fading on the right, but not at the rate it is on the left. So the problem is you got believers who within, it's almost like politics. It's a mirrored reflection of it inside the church. We're divided. You have those that say once saved, always saved. You got those that say, no, that's not true. You got those that say that, we need to, pray through the Virgin Mary or whatever, a Catholic, I'm not a Catholic, so I don't know that. So don't get hung up on that. But you got the Joel Osteens out there preaching one doctrine. You got Hagee preaching another doctrine. You got different views within the church. You got the Methodists warring within the Methodists about gays and women and different things like that. And then outside of all that big argument and big disagreement, you got those that don't believe that look at that and say, oh, they crazy. There ain't no God. So it's a constant war among all of that. And then on top of all that, you're trying to figure out what is patriotism? What was the vision of the founding fathers? What does the Federalist Papers and the non-Federalist Papers, what does it mean? You got all that big stuff to try to worry about. And
that's exactly the topics that we've been hitting on my show.
Yeah.
That's exactly where we're going to be living now. That's my interest. That's what I try to tackle, Steve, on the road to Concord.
Well, I'm gonna leave that with you. I'm gonna leave that with you. That's your bailiwick. You're gonna have to do that because I can't tackle it. I can't.
A lot of those things actually have answers if we will learn to understand how to look for them and then find the courage to just accept them when we find them.
Yeah.
You can find capital T truth in all of this. You just got to look for it and know how to, be discerning between wheat and chaff. What's true, what's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And there are ways to do that. And that's part of what I'm trying to share with folks. I know that a lot of people disagree with me, but that's because they're clinging to their opinions. Well, at some point, if you can't acknowledge that there's truth outside yourself, give up, man, because you're just going to get run over by whoever's got the bigger club.
Yeah.
And is willing to use it.
The easiest thing for me to realize is that as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not always right.
But you're never wrong.
No, I've been wrong millions of times. But this is the one. Oh, I know. One of the things that one of the things that came up in discussion here on the Facebook thread or comments is, and Sandy mentioned it, we got to get our houses in order, our homes in order. Well, for me, okay, I'm a man. Well, let's just look at you. You got your wife, you got your children. It's a lot easier for you to get your house organized than it is the person down the road who is a single parent because they had a divorce. You got a child that maybe a drug addict. You got another one that's trying to figure out if he's a boy and a girl. To tell them to get their house in order or to help figure out how to get their house in order, man, how in the world do you do that? Besides,
well, first things first, we got to understand that was largely forced on our society intentionally by people who wanted to split up the families. Sandy's not wrong about that. That was done intentionally, and I can even tell you, I can point you to the people who did it and why they did it. And part of it is they want the chaos that ensues. They want it.
Mm-hmm. So
to them, it's an opportunity for them to remake the society the way they want to.
Yeah, I don't think anybody listening to this program challenges that. My question is, and I always get back to this, and there's never an answer. Okay, we know how we got there. I believe I know why we got there from listening to you. My question is, now that we're there, how do we get out of it? And I'm afraid the answer is that we don't.
Right now, no, we don't. But there are answers. We won't take them. We won't go down that path. One of them, Sandy was talking about again. Okay, you were just hitting on it. Okay, church, rather than worrying about this, that, and the other thing, if you're a believer, get out of your little building that you've built, start living the doctrine that is truly taught in that book, which means go find that single mother struggling with her children and minister to her properly, according to the scriptures. That's how this Western world was built. It was transformed by the spread of Christian beliefs, Christian doctrine. And we're going to show you over the next few months, we are going to tackle that head on the road to Concord. And the John Fords and the Richard Marxes of this world are going to have to go find me some verifiable data that contradicts what I'm going to be sharing with my audience. I'm going to show you who and where and what and why the people that started the attack on this country, who they are, where they come from, what they were doing, where they got their ideas from. It's all documented. We're going to start bringing the receipts, as Bongino says, and I'm going to start showing it to you.
There you go. Water Jug.
And I'm going to start.
Water Jug is Water Jug, and I wanted him to call in, and James, if you're listening, I do want to talk to you on a personal level about your trip.
Real quick, I'm going to destroy Water Jug's reputation. I like that man.
He's a person willing to listen and find the truth. I like him too. He said anyway, he just went on a mission trip. He went to Ethiopia and several other countries, very poor countries. It was as you can imagine, it was a life-changing thing. I remember me going to Jamaica, and this was back when I was to say I was not overly political would be a vast understatement. I couldn't have told you who. I could probably get the president of the United States right at the time, but that'd be about it. I was just totally disengaged in my 30s, and just, all right. So I go from the airport in Jamaica. I can't remember where we landed, but we were in Montego Bay is where the resort was. So we were going from the airport to Montego Bay. And that drive, it was about an hour and a half. That drive through that country was a life-changing event to see people living. Not just, it wasn't homeless camps, okay? This was the norm. This is the way those people lived their lives. They lived in cardboard boxes. They had rotting, nasty fish hanging in the trees that they ate. They literally, it was just squalor. And it was just shocking to see that. You see it on TV. They ain't nothing like seeing it in real life. So Water Jug goes out and he goes on his trip and he comes back and he's only made the statement on Facebook that it was just life-changing, and it was life-changing. I want to talk to him about that. But he asks a question on here that I'm going to pose to you. He says, what is a true Christian, though? 1,000 different denominations would love to hear that answer. And I don't know. I don't know exactly what he's coming from, but when I read the question, I pondered something similar. You've got Methodists, you've got Baptists, you got Mormons, you got Catholics, you got, you got just thousands of different denominations interpreting things one way. And they take the same sentence and you got 5 different religions with 5 different interpretations of the 5 word scripture. I mean, you get what I'm saying?
That's the same reason that we have trouble understanding the Constitution, too.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. Yeah, good
but
point.
We are actually going to be discussing that very question tomorrow morning in my first hour about how do you read the scriptures and how do you just ascertain what they really say. For example, if you've got a denomination, you're already heading down the wrong path because the denomination was formed by the opinions or the precepts and teachings of men, not scripture. They didn't have denominations when the faith was first started.
Mm-hmm.
So you're already going down the denominations. Mm-hmm. And I get it. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying that, that's one of the indications. We every time we branch off, we disobey the teachings in that book. And that is, just so happens every Wednesday morning, first hour until we get done, it might bleed over into the second, I address scriptural issues with the same light that the same attitude and the same techniques I use to investigate the founding and the founders. And it's one of the reasons I became such a strident believer is because I was investigating the founders. And I realized if you do that, you cannot avoid the Bible and its influence on the founding of this nation. You can't get around it. You can't avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
And that got me to reading the scriptures. And lo and behold, I found out the same thing there. They don't tell me what my pastor had been saying they said. That's not what they teach. So that forced a change in me. And all I'm doing on my show is trying to share all this stuff with you and show you where to start. I'll hand you the end of the thread. You're the one that's got to find the other end for yourself, man. I can't do that for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll help you find the ends of the thread, and I'll help you, with a few of the connections that are there. And ultimately, what do we do? Sandy had it for you. Clean out your own house first, best you can. If we all do that, we'll have fewer problems in the world around us because we'll quit worrying about our neighbor, start worrying about the plank in our own eye.
Mm-hmm.
And we will fix ourselves.
What's the oldest? Excuse me. What is the oldest religion? Is it Hinduism? I'm trying to remember. What's the oldest religion in on
It
Earth?
all depends on how you count that and what your worldview is, Steve. Honest to God, it is, because the oldest religion is actually the way.
Mm-hmm.
That goes back to Adam and Eve. I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but that happens to be what I believe, because not only do the scriptures uphold on what they say, so does archaeology, so does anthropology, so does sociology.
Well, I
the
think
indicators are there.
No, I think as a Christian, and when I define a Christian, I'm saying one who believes that Jesus Christ was sent to cover us, with His blood. That's what I right or wrong. That's what I believe. That's how I define a Christian.
You're not far removed from the kingdom, right there. You're doing good.
So as that believer, I agree with you that religion had to, because of that belief, had to start with Adam and Eve. So when I pulled it up, the world's oldest religions. So I that's where I have a problem where they name these religions, because the very foundation of them is starting from a point that is contrary to my belief right out of the gate. You know, they don't acknowledge Jesus Christ. They don't acknowledge Adam and Eve. So it's I wouldn't characterize
well,
them as,
what did it say? Is Hinduism said to be the oldest?
yeah. I mean, let's see.
Well, if you understand what Hinduism is, it can't be the oldest because Hinduism is basically the adoption of a bunch of other religions.
It says
So
Hinduism
I would
was
argue
founded.
it's paganism.
Hinduism was founded in the 5th century.
Mhm.
The second one that they list is Zoroastrianism. I ain't even never heard of that one. Judaism, the foundation for all other Abrahamic religions.
5th
Judaism.
century, but paganism goes back before then.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was getting
So
at. I wanted to
paganism goes
worship.
back before Hinduism. So I don't know why they don't.
See, worship to me is separate from a religion. Worship is what Hinduism and Confucianism is. Buddhism, those Taoism, Shintoism. Those are worship. They're not. It's almost like it's different from a religion, even though they call it religion. It just seems like worship rather than religion. And I know I shouldn't even be talking about this, but
now you're talking about the meaning of words, and that's what we did all second hour yesterday. We were talking about language and how it works and the structure of it, and how you got to get that underneath you before you can even understand each other.
Yeah.
So I know some of it is, most people, it's boring. I'm trying to keep it interesting as much as I can, but some of it might be, but you got to understand it. Otherwise you have no foundation in which to understand the world around us.
That's true. That's true. Tune in 9:05 Eastern time. Jimmy corrected you yesterday on a misspeak there, and he loved to stick that in your eye. But
I heard that. I'm going to have to smack him around a little bit next time I see him.
That's right. That's right. So tune in either 8:05 Central or 9:05 Eastern. I think that's the correct one.
Yeah, I'll leave this to the professionals, Jimmy. Steve got it.
All right. Have a good day, brother.
You too, brother.
All right, see you later. Yeah, y'all tune in to Road to Concord with Joe Bakanovic right here on Freedom Networks. Wherever you're listening right now, with the exception of the Discord app, you can't get him there, but you can get him at YouTube, freedomnetworks.com, and also right here on Facebook, Freedom with Steve Nichols. So we'll be trying to get all that stuff put together as we move forward. Let's see here. William R. Murchie Jr. says Egypt had a religion for 3,500 years. The Romans ended it before Christianity even started. That's again. I think it's up for interpretation based on what you believe. What you read in history. You take that in consideration and you put it through your filter, and you come up with whatever you believe. Now, to me, it's not complicated. This whole religion thing is not complicated to me because I believe what I believe. And I don't require you to believe it. I believe that I'm required to share how I believe with you according to my Bible. So that's it. If you believe that you can worship Buddha or Muhammad or whatever, that's totally up to you. All I could do and all I'm expected to do is tell you about my Jesus. That's my king. I tell you about my king, and I believe like I believe. So let me back up here. I want to read that. Well, you know what? I got to go. I got to take a break. But when I get back, I'm going to get into discussions about, I'm just going to get into, we'll further the religious discussion somewhat. I'm not going to get deep into it. I leave that to Joe. I know my limitations, and I'm going to leave the scriptures and the history of the Bible, words. I'm going to leave that to the professional that he is at 9:05, but I am going to opine a little bit about some things that y'all were talking about on the thread, specifically a conversation that Mary and Aaron are having about when the Catholic Church started and who started it. We'll be right back. You listen to Freedom.
Wide awake now? We're honored and humbled to share this time with you each and every day. Please consider liking, sharing, and spreading the word by telling others to tune in. Send them to freedomnetworks.com and they can choose their favorite way to enjoy the show. For now, back to Freedom with Steve Nichols. Go get them, Steve.
229-469-1417. That is the Valdosta Transmission Hotline number. Many of you are getting ready to go to work out there today. Y'all be careful. You're working outside. The temperature says it's going to be a high of like 87 degrees, but it's much, much hotter than that. Very dangerous conditions out there with the humidity, all the moisture in the ground. The sun pops out. It gets murderously, dangerously hot. So make sure you stay hydrated. Be very careful out there when you're working today. 229-469-1417. The conversation, well, let me just say this. Some things interest me. Religion is a very fascinating thing to me. Specifically the differences among our religions here in the United States. Most people are either, I mean, there's a bunch of them. I'll leave them off the list, but you'll get the gist of it. Most people around Georgia or in the United States, I should say, they're either Catholic, Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterian. Then you got First United Methodist, you got Free Will Baptist, you got Primitive Baptist, you got the Church of the Latter-day Saints, you've got Church of God, Church of Christ. There's all kinds of denominations out there, and they fascinate me. And what I'm, you know, I've never been one to be judgmental. I don't think, at least I try not to be, and I don't want to. I'm not going to be judgmental here. And if I sound judgmental, then please call me out on it and let's talk about it, because this is important to me. One of the questions on here, and it's long up the thread now, so I'm sure I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to remember all of it. But anyway, Aaron said something about the founding of the Catholic Church. He made the statement that, and I wish I could find it to quote it. Okay, it's after that. Y'all bear with me. I mean, this is something that's interested in. It's just interesting to me. I want to get y'all's thoughts on it. We'll just start right here. Mary is Catholic. Aaron is not Catholic. Now, that don't mean anything. I'm just setting this up to read here. So Mary says, not the Catholic Church. It was founded by Christ, who charged the apostles to go into all nations and teach what I have told you. This was before the New Testament was even written. I'm going to skip down a little bit. And I don't know if, I don't necessarily know if Aaron is responding directly to Mary, but I think he is right here. He says, better do some research on who founded the Catholic Church. It was not the disciple Peter. He never went to Rome. Mary says, Aaron, I like you do, but you are incorrect. I'm going to leave this topic alone. My initial comment was meant for Joe. I know my history very well, though. And again, this is not an argument between them two. I'm using this as a clumsy way to talk about it. Mary says, that's right, Steve. We all worship the same Jesus. What is insulting to me is when non-Catholics try to tell Catholics what we believe. And I agree with you there, Mary. I don't like that either. It's okay for me. Religion is a sacred thing to somebody. It's sacred to me. Now, I don't mind you telling me what you believe. Okay. I don't mind that, because what it might do is challenge me to dig and look. But when someone starts telling me that I'm going to hell and this has happened to me on radio, that I'm going to hell because of the way I believe, or the way I worship, or the way I think something means something. Okay. That's when I get very, very irritated, and I'm not going to engage in that conversation. I believe that's what Mary is trying to say. It is insulting. I don't criticize the Catholic religion. I don't. I don't think that I'm going to heaven any faster or any slower than a Catholic, or that I'm going to go to heaven any or that they're going to go any faster or slower because they're Catholic. I don't believe that. I believe what my Bible tells me. Now, again, I'll get criticized many times for what I believe. I get criticized on a daily basis for the way I pray. Who does that criticism come from? It don't come from non-believers. It comes from preachers, pastors, biblical people that can quote scripture. I envy them. I envy someone who at the drop of a hat can quote, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14, whatever. I envy that. I wish I was that knowledgeable. I should be that knowledgeable. I really should. I should be spending my time in the Word and in the Bible rather than on Fox and CNN and MSNBC and the BBC and doing what I do every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9. That's just the truth. But I believe what I believe, and I recognize that somebody else believes what they believe. And there's no argument there to me. It's just not. It's what I believe, and you can share what you believe. I know enough to know that the Catholics believe that Jesus was sent to die on that cross, that he arose on the third day. And that's the same thing I believe as a Methodist or as a Baptist or whatever it is I happen to be. Now, I attend the Methodist church. I don't attend the Methodist church because I'm a Methodist, though. I'm not a Methodist. And that's just me. That's my belief. If I'm a child of God. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I try to, as best I can, please him with what I do, and I fail miserably. And when I fail, I understand that Jesus was sent to hang on that cross and suffer for me so that I may be saved. I put my belief out there, and I get criticized mercilessly for it. I will today because we talk about it. But you know what? It'll have zero effect on me. I don't see the benefit in the argument about, I don't know much about the Church of Christ. I don't go by hearsay, but man, I've gotten into some arguments before about the Church of Christ. And I just don't, again, I say gotten into some arguments. They've tried to get me into some arguments about it. But I simply say, look, man, I don't know. I mean, whatever they believe, and I believe what I believe. It's the freedom of religion. So anyway, Water Jug says, I don't want to be a pain in the ass. Yes, you do, Water Jug. It's just what you do at times, just like me. Maybe you don't mean to be, but you do get a sick joy deep down in your soul for doing it, just like I do. And that's okay. I'm teasing. I don't want to be a pain in the ass, but asserting, excuse me, but asserting belief over truth regarding human history is problematic. If we give belief as much weight as evidence, we are doing the exact same thing as those people that believe. Click. Excuse me. It clicked. I don't know where it went now. What happened? Where'd it go? If we give belief as much weight as evidence, we're doing the exact same thing as those people that believe that their sex is a matter of personal choice. There is truth out there, and that's what Joe is pointing out. There's truth, and it is up to an individual to discover that truth. Now you can hear that. I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road. Joe will spend a lot of time over the next weeks and days and months and years explaining to you how he gets to a certain conclusion. It is up to you to look at what he has to say or listen to what he has to say. Consider the reasoning and the sources and the logic behind how he gets to his opinion. And then you look at that, and if you still feel like that ain't right, then you have to go back to square one on your side and prove yourself right by doing the research. If you sit here, this is just my opinion, okay? If you sit here and you listen to someone, be it me, Joe, whoever the case may be, if you listen to, it doesn't matter if it's over religion, politics, or wood carving. It doesn't matter. If you listen to the commentary, you consider the sources provided to back up the opinion of the person giving it, and you disagree with it. The only way I can really respect the disagreement is if you have went and gathered information that is contrary to the information given by the first person, and then the debate can ensue, and then you can dig and try to get to the truth. But if you simply say, "Nah, he's wrong. That ain't right," without telling me why he's wrong or right, he just told you why he thinks he's right. So tell me why you think he's wrong, and show me why. Well, he said this, and that's not the truth here. The truth is this was founded back here, or whatever the case may be. You have to debate. You can't just walk off like a horse and by waving your hand say, "Oh, nope, he's wrong. Next case." You really have to treat it like an argument in a courtroom. You have the plaintiff and you have the defendant. The lawyers for each plead their case to the judge. And then the judge looks to see, based on evidence presented, who made the best case for it. Sometimes you end in a tie, hung jury. Sometimes there's a clear-cut winner. But that's kind of the point that you make. And it's it's for each individual to decide where that goes for them. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind?
What's going on, Mac Daddy?
Can't call it, big man. What you doing?
Out here riding around.
Good deal. Getting paid to ride around.
Getting paid to ride around. You're exactly right, man.
Yeah.
My third grade teacher, Miss Hancock, told me I would never make a living sitting there looking out the window.
And she was wrong. I remember Miss Hancock. I had her too in the third grade. That's right. Hey, Howard.
I think Miss Hancock. I stand correct. I'm fitting to correct myself. I think Miss Hancock was fourth grade. I have Miss Tyson, third grade teacher. Anyway,
I had Miss Hancock in the third grade, and I had Miss Wilkerson in the fourth grade, and then I had Miss Brigman in the fifth grade, and Miss Price in the first grade, I think. Can't remember. I'm second grade teacher for some reason.
I had Miss Price second grade, Miss Corbett first grade, Tyson third grade, Hancock fourth. I want to say I had Miss Brigman fifth grade, and Miss Perry. Love me some Miss Perry for sixth grade.
Yeah, I remember all those teachers.
After that,
yeah,
yeah. That wasn't what I wouldn't call and talk about school. I want to touch on religion a little bit, and it's and just give my kind of 2 cents on it. And I have over the years I have been through a bunch of different churches trying to find something, and trying to find my way, so to speak.
Mhm.
And I have yet to find any particular church that I agree with everything about.
Yeah, I
mean,
agree.
it's-
Yeah, that's right.
They all want to pick a particular part of the Bible that they want to teach, that they believe in, and like just I'm gonna pick on my own the church I grew up in. I grew up Southern Baptist, y'all. So when I start making fun of the churches, I ain't picking on nobody. And if you get offended about your religion, you might want to turn this part off real quick. But, I mean, I grew up Southern Baptist, and I was raised. We believe in the gospel according to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay, well, what about stuff in the Old Testament? Well, that's all just a bunch of children's stories. It's designed to give you confidence and faith and that kind of stuff. Well, okay, what about Revelations? Well, that stuff here, it ain't gonna happen after you're long gone, so you ain't got to worry about that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Catholics. I mean, I went there one time or a couple of times, and felt like I was in exercise class. They're all about the ceremony and the pomp and circumstance. The Pentecostals, they think the world's going to end next Tuesday. So it's all what makes them. Everybody wants to pick a part.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, but I hadn't found a quote unquote religion yet that teaches the entire Bible. When I do, then I'll probably start going there and won't never go anywhere else. And I think we as a people, I think that's just human nature. I mean, you want to believe the parts that you want to believe in, but the things that actually make you feel bad or whatever, then you don't want to hear nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does. I think it goes back to what Sandy originally alluded to, and then what Joe acknowledged in his call is getting your own house in order. And I don't think we do a good job of that. Maybe me and you included. I don't know. I'm quick to talk about something going on somewhere else while at the same time I've got issues in my house. It's just, I think it's somewhat human nature, but I got enough to worry about getting me and my family to heaven, and I don't need to really spend a lot of time. I need to spend time telling you, about Jesus, which you already know Jesus. So it's not you that I need to spend time. I need to make sure I tell people about Jesus, talk about Jesus, but I think I got to spend the bulk of my time making sure my house is trained up in the eyes of the Lord, So I don't have time to examine why the Catholics do this, or why the Church of Christ does this, or why this church, or I don't have time for that. So I don't do it. I've been to many different churches over my life as a visitor. I've been to the Catholic Church. I've been to Baptist, Methodist, these what do you call these? I don't even know this new newfangled church, where they play
the Holy Rollers, the Pentecostal.
Well, that's the ones that's the Church of God and stuff. I'm talking about the ones that play a lot of new wave music. They got guitars and pianos and drums, and and they praise and worship time. And I'm not criticizing them. I mean, I think they're making a joyful noise unto the Lord. I'm not criticizing at all. But I just I'm like you. I mean, there's I think it's up to an individual. I think the church, and Joe would have to polish this up, but I think the church resides in me,
Yes.
To an extent, and maybe that's a clumsy explanation but the church starts with me, and that's just how I believe, and my church has to be in order before I try to tell Mary or Aaron how their church needs to run. So
exactly. And I don't know. That's one. I don't. I mean, I will make fun. I'll joke around about religion, but I mean, when it comes to, I don't know enough about all these different quote unquote religions to know how they think, what they teach, and that kind of thing. And the bad thing is, we get hung up on religion as opposed to Christianity. I mean, I'm a Christian. I believe, I believe in Christ, and I know why he was sent here. I know the whole Bible was wrote for me. I think the problem is we get so tied up in our differences that we don't look at we don't look at our common ground. We're all here, in the image, made in the image of God, and unless you're, and I'm correct me if I'm wrong. I believe like the Jews and is it the Latter-day Saints? No, there's one of them that don't believe that Jesus has come yet. They believe there was a man called Jesus Christ, but the Messiah hadn't showed up yet.
Mm-hmm.
But we're too busy arguing about our differences instead of looking. We're all Christians as far as I know. That fall in, that identify as such. We get more worried about the like how to get to heaven, like Methodist, Baptist, that kind of thing. We get more worried about arguing about our differences than working together to make everything work. I had when I was doing the charity work, I had a girl that was working for me, and whenever thing set up, to where I was trying to get a 501c started, and I couldn't because I hadn't been in business long enough. So I wound up going through the church so I could get what I needed done. And when I done that through my church, she went to the Church of Christ. And whenever I involved my church into it, she had to quit. She had to leave because she couldn't be associated with activities belonging to another church. And I still can't comprehend the logic behind that.
Yeah.
If it's all working toward the common good, then what difference does it make? If I'm Baptist and she's Church of Christ or whatever, it didn't. I don't know. Ozzy Osbourne said it best. I'm gonna quote him: "Too many religions and only one God. I don't need another savior."
Yeah, and then that's when he exited stage right as he bit off the head of a bat.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just a lot of there's a lot of deep discussions of religion. One of the things I think we go wrong with is that we take a verse in the Bible and we make it fit our thoughts rather than make our thoughts fit that verse. And into understanding that verse, sometimes you got to go, read the verses prior to that and the ones after that to get the full meaning of it. You know what I mean? It's you can twist yourself into a knot. You really can. When it says love your neighbor, pretty hard to love, some neighbors, but you're charged to do so.
Yeah, but it's all human nature. I mean, we argue about the Bible. But you look at we're going to do that to everything that we consider a governing body, so to speak, or governing. Tie the Bible into the Constitution. I mean, we start talking about the Bill of Rights. What part of shall not be infringed? I take that one way, but somebody else says, well, I know it says that, but we can do.
Oh, we can twist ourselves on that one too. I mean, that's like the, the background check. Does the background check infringe on your right? Well, it don't if you pass it. You could twist. You could just go right. You know what I mean? You could just make it fit whatever narrative you want. You know, I mean, there's a 30-day waiting period. Does that infringe it? Well, no, not if you pass the 30-day waiting period. It's an argument, man. It's such a this life and this free thinking thing, and this free will stuff. Boy, it's a mighty, mighty big responsibility.
I love it. I love being a human. I love being at the top of the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
I love being American. I love everything about my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, discussions on religion fall into that category.
Yep. Good stuff, Glenn. I want to clear something
right,
up. I do want to clear something up while I got you on the air. Richard Todd says, did I hear Glenn correctly? He says, I don't need no savior. Glenn said, I don't need another savior. That's what Ozzy Osbourne's quote was. He did not say he didn't need a savior. He doesn't need another savior, meaning he has one in Jesus Christ. That's what Glenn meant.
Right. Yeah.
All right, my brother.
All
right.
We're gone.
See you later. Bye-bye. 229 469 1417. Water Jug says, I'm curious about y'all's opinion. Who would God be pleased with more? Someone that claims to be a Christian, or someone that claims to be a Christian, or someone that isn't a Christian, but through their actions emulates Christ? Well, my personal opinion is that it comes down to the belief that God sent Jesus Christ to hang on that cross. So take that for what it's worth. Aaron says, what does it mean to love your neighbor as yourself? I would tend to lean toward the latter, but good won't get you into heaven. And that was my point there. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's up?
Good morning, Steve. How you doing?
T-Rex, what are you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm trying to find a way back to Valdosta. My car crapped out down here.
Uh-oh, what happened?
And let me tell you how you can't get to Valdosta nowadays.
Okay.
Post-pandemic. And I got to go because here's the guy calling me now.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right, see you. Well, I hope T-Rex finds his way back to Valdosta. Interesting question. I mean, you could discuss this religion stuff all day long, and I hope y'all stay tuned here at excuse me, at 9:05. Excuse me. And y'all call in and discuss some of this stuff with Joe. It'd be a good discussion for you guys to have, and he's certainly more qualified, as I said earlier, to back up, his position with Scripture, historical facts. I know Joe well enough to know if a question is posed that he don't readily have an opinion or an answer on, that he will go find it, and he would get back to you the next day or as soon as he could with the answer or with the viewpoint he particularly prescribes to. I got a message on my email saying that I seem to take the gist of it was that Joe's the end all be all on opinions on everything, and no, that is not. That is not how I see Joe. I simply see Joe as a credible, intellectually honest person who gets to his opinions through tons of research, tons of thinking and logicking, I call it, his way through things. He backs up his positions, but there are things that he and I disagree on. He gets to a point. He tells me how he gets there. I get to a point. I tell him how I'll get there. And sometimes we still disagree. But we both walk away from the conversation with a healthy respect for each other, getting there through research and logic and digging and trying to find the facts. It's just that simple. Yeah, the cough is bad, but believe it or not, it is getting better. It comes in spells, but the spells are starting to stretch out just like it did last time. I got 2 more days on the antibiotic that Dr. Price prescribed me, and I hope it gets better. The last time I had to get it re-upped and do it again before it got all the way gone, and I'll probably have to do that again. As far as throat lozenges go, I've eaten probably 7 or 8 of them today. Here they are in the pack. I've tried all kinds. They do help a little bit, but it's just something I'm having to struggle through. I got 2 choices here: either come on and y'all just have to put up with it and be aggravated with it. Trust me, it aggravates the stew out of me. But my choices are to come on and be aggravated with it and aggravate you with it, or stay home until it's gone. And I have to do it. Sid says a spoonful of honey. I need to try that. I've done it before. I just can't remember. I can't remember the result of it, but it can't hurt. So I'll try that. Also, I saw you tag me in that post of Charles and the gang shooting the cannons. That was funny. And you're right, they can't run real well, but they did it. So Aaron says, Joe tells you to look it up for yourself and try to prove him right. I've done my research over the last 25 years, and most of what Joe talks about is truth that people don't want to believe. I envy people that have a lot of time to research multiple subjects. I think a lot of people must read faster than me, absorb information at a faster pace than me, or come to conclusions at a faster pace for me, because when I look into something, I have to beat that subject to death. I have to uncover each and every stone before I can get to a conclusion. And that just takes a massive amount of time. I'll never forget deciding it when I was at Black Crow to dive into the subject of systemic racism. I had to go through more information. That it is the biggest subject I ever tackled. One that I'm probably only 80% through, to be perfectly honest with you. But it is so big, and there's so many stats and so many sources. So many times I have to check stats for authenticity. And I went through that, and I think I spent 3 weeks on an average of a couple of hours a day. And then on the weekends, even more. I remember sitting there on a rainy Sunday afternoon, cracking open the information from statistical settlements law enforcement agencies across the United States, comparing statistics, putting them on spreadsheets, trying to find common denominators. I started at I think it was about 1:45 or 2 p.m. on that day. And literally the next thing I knew, it was 7:30 and the sun was going down. I wasn't nowhere near through it. And most subjects that you research are that way. Now, some of them aren't. Some of them are not as involved or time consuming. But I've seen it happen on this show. I'm not going to give any specific names or specific incidents, but I've seen people say that, hey, I'm going to look into that. And they look into it and they get back to me and say, hey, man, this is what I got. And what they got could not be further from the truth. And I used to would engage in discussion with them, but it never paid off because they weren't willing to keep going. And so anyway, through the years, I kind of sharpened my skill to deal with a person like by saying, well, hey, did you happen to look at this? Look at this and see how that factors into it. 9 times out of 10, the person don't never go look because they've made their mind up, right? But most of the time when they look, they go, wow. Then that forces them to go down another path and into it deeper. And then they come up with another conclusion. Sometimes in our lives, I think Joe would agree with this. Sometimes in our life, the truth is pretty solid. It's the truth. It's irrefutable once you get to it. Now, you got to get to it, though. You got to get to that thing. And then sometimes, it depending on what the subject is, if it's more philosophical in nature, you get to a crossroads where you have to pick aside based on your gut feeling. But those things for me, because of the nature of what I want to know, what I'm trying to find out, what I'm looking for, it's just hard and time consuming. I can't say hard, just involved and time consuming. I don't trust nothing. When I see something, when I do a search, whether it's on Google or DuckDuckGo or wherever it happens to be, if it's in the National Archives, if it's a historical document housed in the Smithsonian Institution or in the Louvre over in Paris, whatever, I don't take it as the truth just because I read it from a credible source. I try to, at that point, okay, this is what this says. Now I'm gonna make this true. So I go find a couple of supporting positions or pieces of information. And once I do that, then I accept that as the high probability of being true. And that's just the way I do things, because that's just the way I do it. I don't know. It just takes a lot from me. I don't know. My brain's only so big. So anyway, let me look here. I research while multitasking. I listen to shows while doing things, just like today. I'm going to stop right there. See, I don't get any information from listening to shows. I don't trust them, any of them. There's not one out there that I've not found, honestly, that I've not found something untrue or misinterpreted come from them. So I don't do that. Now, when I say I don't listen to them, I don't listen to them for accuracy or to form an opinion. I'll listen to them just for pondering what they're talking about. Then if it's something interesting, I'll go to it. I'll go to that source, go to that subject. I'll read what the founding fathers said. I'll read what the history of World War I was. And I'll verify in that manner. But I don't get my information from CNN, Fox, or Spotify, or some late night podcast by somebody that I may like. I don't do that. I don't get my information because too many times I find them to be way, way off base. So I don't do that. Most main because of independent shows on social media and shows like this. Screw the mainstream media. Yeah, I don't get anything from mainstream media. Well, that's your mistake. I don't know who she's talking about there. Steve, not that my opinion matters here, but you have grown a lot since I met you. I see a tighter reasoning in you today versus when we first met. I take that as an utmost compliment. I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying it. I've learned a lot from you and how you go about finding the truth, and I've just subscribed to that. Renee says, I listen to pretty responsible people. Yeah, I'm not saying that some of them aren't responsible. They just sometimes they're wrong. One like Anomaly, he backs up everything. And if I don't believe him, I research him. Well, that's good. That is good. That is what I want you to do. The question is, you ever found Anomaly to be wrong? That's the question. You read mainstream on here in the mornings. Yeah, I read the topics of the day. But when I read an article on mainstream media that's an opinion piece, I just offer my opinion on it. There's no philosophical fact-finding discussion to be had about the Democrat mayor's second request for help with migrant influx that liberal policies allowed is shot down. That's just a headline. That's just current events. So I read all the headlines to discuss the current events, and then we filter that through the lens of freedom. That's what we do. Tony Bennett says I stay away from opinion pieces either side. I don't. I like to read the opinion, and then I try to decipher whether they're going wrong or they're going right. Anomaly is pretty spot on all the time. He's a smart man. Plus, he researches everything so he doesn't get taken down. You know, I mean, that's again, I'll go back to, you know, again, this is how my brain works. I'm going to totally ponder and totally think about and totally respect a man's opinion who he backs up with research. That's why I have an immense respect for Glenn Beck's research. His staff is impeccable when it comes to the research department. Rarely do I disagree with the research from his department. Where I disagree with Beck is his interpretation of that research, and that's when you get into the nuts of it there. Anomaly and Water Jug are very similar in my mind. Both are finding their way out of the quagmire of this messed up world. I enjoy watching their journey, admire them even. Aaron says, I think sometimes the lens of freedom is a broad and wide gate. Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. So anyway, that's just me. I'm just telling you how I do it. You do it your way. Again, I always go back to the end of the day. When you lay your head on your pillow, is your conscience satisfied? Is your conscience clear? In the end, that really, it's all that matters for you. You live with those consequences. Tony, I like them. Excuse me, Tony, I like them if they provide irrefutable sources and links and backing up their opinions. Yeah, when someone has this, when someone has established a pattern of being right, backing up their position with sources and being right, then if they've established that pattern over a period of time, and they make a statement one day that I haven't pondered, that I'm trying to come up to a conclusion with, I will put a lot of weight in what they say based on the historical precedent they've set for finding truth and backing it up with their research. However, I'm still going to go down the path of trying to prove them right if it's a subject matter that I'm that invested in. And there's some philosophical discussions and stuff I just have no time or no inclination to think about. So I wanted to know about our election. So I listened to Mike Lindell all weekend, learned a lot. People have not given up on getting our elections correct. Mike Lindell is one of them that when he came out with that, he came out with some sort of show or thing, and I started down the path to see if he was right, and I very quickly came to the conclusion that he was not using actual evidence to back up his position. It was all open to interpretation, let's say. So I'm not saying he's wrong on certain things that you're talking about. I think he's been right on some things. I'll listen to him, but I don't take anything he says as the gospel without going and researching it, because he's one of the ones I have found to be, I don't want to call him intellectually dishonest, but that's the word that comes to my mind. And that is my opinion on him. But again, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. So, Water Jug laughed at. He's a mean man. All right, I got to get out of here. 8:59. Y'all stay tuned for Joe back at Novick. The road to Concord, 905. So y'all want to continue that discussion or this discussion over there, that would be great. I'm going to try to tune in a little bit. I got a couple of phone calls to make, but then I'm going to be tuning in, so I'm looking forward to it. Renee says, so glad I researched the vax and made the decision I did. That's right. Yeah, there's plenty of information there to do research on most subjects. Now, that's one good thing about the internet. And you get comfortable, and again, you lay your head down at night and you feel good. So there you go. That's all it's about. All right. Y'all have a great day. You've been listening to Freedom with Steve Nichols. Joe back in Novick. Road to Concord is next right here on freedomnetworks.com. That's with an X. Also, YouTube at Freedom Networks, or you can stay tuned on Facebook at Freedom with Steve Nichols. Y'all have a great day. We will see you guys tomorrow.
We at Freedom with Steve Nichols want to thank each and every one of you for listening. Together, we will protect, defend, and promote the freedom as our founding fathers envisioned. We believe in the spirit of the Declaration of Independence and strive to protect that spirit daily. Please thank and utilize the goods and services of our sponsors and advertisers every chance you get. For now, we bid you farewell. Have a great day.